the T20 international between England and Sri Lanka. England 2-0 up in the series, an unassailable lead, hoping to complete a series victory here today. We'll have the team news for you in a few moments' time, but the toss happened around about 15 minutes ago. Sri Lanka won the toss and elected to field, so it's another toss lost by the England captain Eoin Morgan, but he was speaking to Henry Moran.
So, Eoin, you've been asked to have a bat first. What would you have done?
Yeah, I would have bowled first. Henry, the wicket looks a little bit tacky. Looks similar to conditions that we played here last year for the majority of our white ball cricket. So it might be a little bit more challenging than we're used to probably over the last 4 or 5 years in Southampton. But, you know, we're more than willing to take the challenge on. We're always looking to improve and expand our game, probably more so when conditions are a little bit tougher with the bat. So hopefully today turns out to be a good game.
No Jason Roy, what's the story there?
Yeah, he is. He's pulled up with a tight hamstring. We obviously played 2 games in 2 days and then travelled down on the 3rd day. So to play 3 games in 4 days at the level of intensity that we try and operate at is a bit too much of a tall ask. I think with one eye on the rest of the summer and then lead into the T20 World Cup as well, I think the decision to leave him out and give him some extra time to recoup is the best one.
But it presents opportunities for others. Dawid Malan at the top of the order, Liam Livingstone at 3. What's the instruction for them in the opening overs?
Yeah, I think the first instruction we always give guys when they come into the side is to play their own game. They've been selected on the back of performances for their county and other franchise teams around the world to play the expansive game that they do. I think Dawid has done that for a long time now. Liam is obviously new into the side with opportunities and has impressed in the last 2 games, so his instructions are the exact same.
Moeen Ali plays his first T20 since September. What are you expecting from him?
Here, you know, Moeen hasn't had a great deal of opportunity. He came to India and was extremely close to playing in all 5 T20 games, so it's been a little bit challenging for him as opposed to others who have been around as long as he has. But he's extremely patient. He's an unbelievable contributor on and off the field for us, so we just want him to come in, get a game under his belt, be himself, and hopefully this can be the start of more opportunities for his summer.
And these series rattle through quickly. What have you learned from the first couple of matches? What are you looking to learn from this game? Yeah,
I think the first game we were quite clinical in the way that we performed. Probably started a lot better than we would have ever thought. It normally takes us a couple of games to get into our stride, so that was a huge positive. I think the following game we were presented with some challenges because we made some mistakes, but also the character that Liam Livingstone and Sam Billings showed with the bat, I thought was brilliant. The bowlers have been outstanding, taking advantage of surfaces that I've offered a little bit. So looking for probably to the first game for inspiration for today, to try and marry batting and bowling together to produce a winning performance.
Thanks, Eoin. Best of luck today.
Thanks, Henry. Thank you.
Eoin Morgan on good form, speaking to Henry Moran just after the toss, which was won by Sri Lanka. They elected to field first. Let me bring you the teams. There's 2 changes for both of the sides. Starting with England, Jason Roy out, as you heard. Moeen Ali comes in to replace him, and then Mark Wood is rested. Chris Woakes comes back in. So England, Jonny Bairstow, Dawid Malan, Liam Livingstone, Eoin Morgan, Sam Billings, Moeen Ali in at 6, Sam Curran, Chris Woakes, David Willey, Chris Jordan and Adil Rashid. As for Sri Lanka, Oshada Fernando replaces Avishka Fernando, and Lakshan Sandakan, left-arm wrist spinner, in for Akila Dhananjaya. So they line up as follows: Danushka Gunathilaka, Kusal Perera, Oshada Fernando, Kusal Mendis, Niroshan, Dickwella, the wicketkeeper, Dasun Shanaka, who scored that excellent half-century in the first T20 international, Wanindu Hasaranga, Isuru Udana, Binura Fernando, Lakshan Sandakan, and Dushmantha Chameera. Well, it's a much different scene than the last time I was here at the Ageas Bowl. It was England versus Ireland. There was absolutely no one here apart from the players and the broadcasters, but how delightful it is to see at least 6,500 people making their way to their seats around this fantastic venue here on the south coast. Obviously, lots of empty seats around, but there should be a good noise this afternoon. The weather is set fair. 19 degrees, a layer of light cloud, a little pocket of blue over in the distance beyond the Telegraph Woods, which are just behind the pavilion. And we've got 1% chance of rain. That is what the BBC weather app has told us. And we can see out in the middle the fairly sort of messed up World Test Championship pitch which was played over those 6 days. Bang in the centre. The pitch today is 2 over to the left as we look out from the hotel end. The northern end looks a good fresh pitch, little bit of grass on it, and England will have first use of it with the bat. I'm also very pleased to say that the person next to me here has performed many on occasion and performed very well. James Anderson, the England leading Test cap holder. Good to see you.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
England team. Moeen's back. Finally, Moeen gets a game of T20.
Yeah, it's great to see him back. It's been a long time in this T20 side without him. And yeah, I think that tour of India, you expected one of the 5 games at least to see Moeen, but we've had to wait this long. Can't wait to see him play. I'm sure he'll perform very well.
He's a little bit of a worry over Jason Roy. It was interesting, Eoin Morgan, what he was saying about 3 games in 4 days. That is actually an intense period of cricket. Not that you get that, even though the players are used to that kind of intensity at a domestic level, not necessarily at the international level.
Yeah, I think his point there was that the intensity they look to play at 3 games in 4 days is tough, and you just have to watch them warm up, and the way they go about their fielding in particular, the energy and the commitment involved in it, I think is something that will take its toll after if you do go through too many games in a short period of time. So I think it's wise to try and just be on the cautious side with people. There's still plenty of cricket left this summer, so I think the right thing to do, being cautious.
Let's talk about the top of the order. Dawid Malan will open. He's not had the best run of things recently. In fact, just gone through. He's got 4 and 7 in this series. Over in India, 24 not out off 20 balls, 24 off 23, 18 off 17, 14 off 17, and then he got 68 off 46 balls in the 5th T20 international. He's not been, even though he's number 2 batsman in the world in this format of the game, he's not been in fantastic nick. Liam Livingstone moves up to 3. Is there an argument to say, well, Livingstone opens at Lancashire, he opens for the Perth Scorchers, he opens pretty much whichever domestic league that he plays in? Was it worth maybe having a look at him at the top of the order?
Potentially, yeah, but you could say exactly the same for Dawid Malan. He opens the batting for all the teams that he plays for, other than England at the minute. I
mean, the likely scenario is that if Malan plays, he will bat below one of Bairstow and Roy, or Butler and Roy, or whoever the opening combination is. So is there an argument to keep him where he would possibly be?
Yeah, but again, there's a case for keeping Livingstone where he is, because if he gets a chance in the team, then it's going to be not opening. It's going to be we saw him at 6 the other night, 3 today. The likelihood is he'll be sort of lower down the order. So I think there's a case for both, but I think it's the right thing to do. Malan's been in this team for a decent period of time now. Give him the chance to open, and I think it's still a great opportunity for Liam Livingstone at 3. He's still likely to face a lot more balls than he did the other night batting at 6.
He looks a different player than when we first saw him in the international game. He looked nervy, and now he's just sort of grown into being a much more all-round complete cricketer in this format.
Yeah, and I think that's partly a lot down to him. He's worked very hard at his game. He's matured a bit as well as a person. So I think you can see that come out in the way he plays. I also think the fact that he's travelled around the world playing T20 franchise cricket as well, that will have helped. Those experiences around the world playing with the best players in the world will have helped him to mature and see how they go about it, and I think he's adapted that well to his game. Well, it'll be interesting to see how he goes. Batting at 3 today for England, so Moeen Ali in for Jason Roy, Chris Woakes in for Mark Wood. Always worth reminding you as well that there is no Ben Stokes and no Jofra Archer in this squad for England. They will come in due course, either over the course of this summer or later on in the summer as well. Let's talk Sri Lanka. I'm very pleased to say that joining us, as he has done in the first T20 internationals, watching from home, is the former Sri Lankan all-rounder Russell Arnold. Russell, great to have you alongside us again on Test Match Special. 2 changes for Sri Lanka, and also a slight change in the way they're going about things, because they've won 1 match in their last 12 in this format. They've batted first in those 12 matches 9 times. Now they're going to have a bowl first. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Charles. Yes, they are searching for a way to go forward, and it really hasn't worked batting first. Now, you mentioned 9 times that they batted first, and I'm pretty sure 8 of those games, they would have scored only 130, 135. So a rethink in what they're trying to do, and probably it does work. Now, from Sri Lankan's point of view, a lot of fans would be thinking they would rather lose the toss and win the game rather than keep winning all the tosses. You mentioned a couple of changes. Yes, Avishka Fernando, who's not really scored at the top of the order, he's got an injury, a quadricep injury, so he's out probably for the whole tour, which might work for Sri Lanka to have two of their most explosive batsmen at the top of the order. So Kusal, Perera to push up with Danushka, Gunathilaka. Oshada Fernando is the batsman who'll come in. He'll slot in at 3. And I like the other change in bringing in the left-arm wrist spinner in Lakshan Sandakan for Akila Dhananjaya. Now, Sandakan is the highest-ranked Sri Lankan bowler in all formats, so it's great to have him.
Why, Russell, have we only then just seen him in this game? Because we were doing some preparation before in the commentary box, going down Lakshan Sandakan's figures and going, he's never had a bad game. Why is he not playing?
Yes, that's a question in my mind as well, because if you're looking for attacking options, a wrist spinner is always better to have, and each time he's played, he picks up wickets. He's got more variations. Akila Dhananjaya is good, but for me, Sandakan is the man. They just feel that he's a little too slow through the air and he needs to quicken up. But I reckon the more he plays, more consistently he plays, his confidence will grow and he'll be a better player.
Absolutely. I like this two wrist spinners. Obviously, one of the big successes is from what we have seen in this tour so far is Wanindu Hasaranga, to partner him with Sandakan as well. In those middle overs, that could actually formulate quite the partnership for Sri Lanka.
It can, and in the middle overs, you need to pick up wickets if you want to restrict the opposition. And what better way to go? Sri Lanka's seaming options are very different to seaming options that England could have, or even on Australia, for that matter. And they're good at certain periods, but it's spin that you're reliant on. And when the spin is doing well, they're more at home and more in a comfort zone and end up making better decisions.
Well, 240 runs scored so far in 240 balls for Sri Lanka, so that one a ball has to improve amazingly. Russell, great to talk to you. We'll hear you at the interval and also at the close of play as well. Thank you so much for joining us, Russell Arnold, the former Sri Lankan all-rounder. So Sri Lanka winning the toss, electing to bowl first in this third Vitality T20 game. The two umpires in their all-black with wide-brimmed hats are out in the middle, Martin Sagers and Alex Wharf, and the Sri Lankan team following closely on, and England in this new kit of theirs with the sort of blue and red front, the red back and their black trousers, their blue trousers, and the two openers are out in the middle. Jonny Bairstow and Dawid Malan will open the batting for England in this decent crowd here of around about 6,500, looking forward to what they hope will be an exciting game. England 2-0 up in the series with this final game to play. We are set fair at the Ageas Bowl. Great to have you company this Saturday afternoon, and after a word from James Anderson, it will be Atif Nawaz.
Yep, Sri Lanka deciding to bowl today, and I think it's a good option, especially considering the way they bowled in the second T20. I thought they bowled really well up front, put England under a lot of pressure. They moved the ball through the air and off the pitch. And they'll be looking for exactly the same today. Chameera starting off.
Absolutely, Jimmy. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to everybody joining us today for this third game. Yes, it was very exciting to watch Chameera and Fernando early doors just hitting a really good length, and what we saw early in Cardiff was a lot of swing for the bowlers as well, so a chance for Sri Lanka to sort of replicate that. Now, the last game I managed to commentate on here, Jimmy, was when you took your 600th wicket, so you know a thing or two about whether or not the ball swings on this wicket. I mean, can Sri Lanka expect similar movement early doors here?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I think the conditions are pretty good. It's quite warm, muggy, cloud cover. There should be some swing early, and hopefully some pace from Chameera, which we saw the other night. It was great to see.
Absolutely, he was really firing up, hitting that 89, 90 mile an hour mark on a regular basis. And in he comes now with Jonny Bairstow on strike, a slip in place. He bowls back of a length, left alone by Bairstow, through to the keeper for no run. Yes, Bairstow's facing up. The man at the non-strikers end, well, Dawid Malan. There's been a lot lot of chat about him recently, and lots of journalists. I noticed Andrew Miller of Cricinfo, referencing so many other players who might be better suited for that top spot. I'm sure he's aware of it. Like, as a player, Jimmy, when people are talking about you and your suitability for a position in the team, how aware of it are you, and how much of it does it play on your mind?
Well, I think the key to playing international cricket is trying to block out the outside noise.
Chameera in once again, fuller length this time, driven, but only as far as it off. They run through for a quick single and make it relatively comfortably. So England off the mark, off the second delivery of this game. 1 for no loss, Jimmy?
Yeah, there's always people talking about certain things, and there's always going to be articles written that maybe say things like that about question your position in the team. But
sure.
for him, all he can do is, and it goes for everyone really, all they can do is concentrate on the performance. He's got an opportunity today to open the batting, which he hasn't done for a few games. And that's his natural sort of slot in T20 cricket, something he's done for a long time. So all he can do, take that chance today, show them what he can do.
His numbers look terrific, averaging in the 40s, strike rate above 140 as well, and of course ranked number 1 or number 2, depending on which ranking you're following, in World T20 cricket. Just want to, like, on paper he's magnificent, but I mean there's some trends about his strike rate or his scoring ability in certain games that are undeniable. But as you say, what an opportunity here against a Sri Lankan team that has put in a spirited effort in the last game, but has generally been struggling. Well, he's on strike now as Chameera comes in and bowls. Fuller delivery has been flicked into the leg side, just wide of the fielder at mid-on, and Malan is off the mark, and England move on to 2 for no loss after 3 deliveries. He'll be keen to make a statement, I imagine, here, Jimmy.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you always are as a player. Every game you go into, I think certainly in a World Cup year, it's probably more important that there's more attention on those positions. But as I said, he's got an opportunity now, opening the batting, doing batting in his favoured position, and he'll be looking to get a score on the board and try and shut those people up who think that his position's under fire.
Chameera in once again. This time beats the outside edge with a ball that just left Jonny Bairstow through to the keeper for no run. That's a very decent length. Not a massive amount of movement, but just enough to beat the batsman. As we'll take another look. Yeah, just moved away. Gorgeous ball, that.
Yeah, I think it's more the pace that's done for Jonny Bairstow there. It's 88 miles an hour. It looked like it got past him before he was ready for it. It was a decent length. There wasn't much movement, as you said, that tried to shape away, but just a nice bit of bounce off this fresh surface.
Chameera steaming in once again. He's got a short fine leg in place as he comes in. Another booming drive attempted by Jonny Bairstow, but he misses the ball again. Beats the outside edge through to the keeper. A few oohs and ahs from the Sri Lankan fielders, who, I've got to say, don't look as excitable as they did in Cardiff. In Cardiff, there was a bit of an energy about them, particularly after those early wickets fell. They look a little bit stiff. Is that harsh?
Yeah, I mean, you'd expect maybe a bit more noise after 2 good balls that have beaten the bat. They do seem a little bit flat at the moment. Heads are down. Sort of, it's a team low on confidence.
I suppose being 2-0 down in a series does that to you. As Chameera in once again. This time Jonny Bairstow connects with a drive, and it goes down to the deep third region. They take a single. That's all they'll get. The throw comes in, not very tidy, but well backed up. And that is the end of the first over. England 3 for no loss after 1 over. Jonny Bairstow on 2 of 5, and Dawid Malan has faced just the 1 ball for 1, and he'll be at the non-strikers for the next over from Fernando as well. Fernando didn't get to bowl his full allotment. Of course, the second game in the series was slightly rain affected, so shortened to 18 overs, but his 3 overs, 1 for 17, was very impressive as well in the last game.
Yeah, I was impressed with both openers. I thought the areas they hit, they weren't afraid to push the ball that little bit fuller when it was swinging. And quite often in T20 cricket, the bowler's default is to drag the length back. You're scared of getting hit back over your head, or those big shots that batsmen can play nowadays. So it was good to see the sort of fearless nature they went about it.
Yeah, defending 111 was always going to be a tall order for them, and England managed to get there with a couple of overs to spare in the end. But you wonder, had there been that pressure of those extra 20-30 runs, could they have pushed it a little bit closer? But there were certainly encouraging signs there, because for a team like even Mickey Arthur, the coach of Sri Lanka, said it, we're the world number 9 team and they're the world number 1 team, and it's showing but it felt like they kind of closed that gap a little bit, Sri Lanka, in the last game.
Yeah, a little bit. I think they know that, listening to Mickey Arthur and Perera, the captain, they know they've got lots of work to do, but they're not afraid to do it. And I think, they've made certainly small strides, but there's still a little way to go yet.
Binura Fernando in now to Jonny Bairstow, who defends the ball into the covers for no run. It's a good tight start from both bowlers. Bang on the money straight away. Not giving the batsman too much to work with at this point. Binura Fernando, one of the few Sri Lankan players I've noticed that didn't mess around with the colour in his hair this time around. That kind of, those blonde highlights have been very popular with the Sri Lankan team this year. Do you reckon it was just one guy who had a bit of spare left, just shared it around?
Yeah, it could have been, yeah.
Fernando, in he comes again. Back of a length this time. The ball takes a bit of glove, I think, into the offside. And another dot ball from Fernando. Building a little bit of pressure here early are Sri Lanka. It's something similar to what they did in the last game. Just kept England quiet for long enough to encourage some big shots. We thought Jason Roy attempted a booming shot into the onside and kind of played across the straight one, really, that bowled him. And, it's just a matter of if England can just be patient, just take their time. They do have plenty of time here as well, and they're very capable of defending low totals, as we've seen. Now then, Fernando in once again, full of delivery, this time driven into the mid-wicket region. Hasn't connected perfectly with that as Jonny Bairstow, but it should be enough for a comfortable 2. It is. The fielder gets the ball back in, and 2 more runs to the score. 5 for no loss after 1.3, and this the third IT20 between England and Sri Lanka. England with an unassailable 2-0 lead. They'll be very pleased, but will very much be expected to close this match out, this series out, with a whitewash here against a Sri Lankan team. We've talked so much about the gulf between the teams, but there's still 3 one-day internationals to come between these two teams, so they'll want to have something to build on here, Sri Lanka. That's Fernando. In he comes once again. Outside the off stump, this time played into the ground. They run through for a quick single, and there's a barge, actually, from Fernando, who just knocks Dawid Malan down onto the ground. They're both on the ground. It seems okay. It doesn't seem to be too many issues, as Fernando's just having a look at his ankle there as he's fallen over. What's happened there, Jimmy?
Well, the ball's just dropped at Jonny Bairstow's feet. Malan's come through for the single, and he's just been barged out of the way by the bowler. Literally.
That's an ice hockey style.
It is.
Like shoulder check from Binura Fernando. I don't know if they play a lot of ice hockey in Sri Lanka. I don't know if they get the weather for it really, but yeah, that was quite impressive. We've just had the trainer come out to have a little look at Binura Fernando. He's just gripping his ankle. Dawid Malan seemed fine. He's going to get back on strike. Gosh, he's getting a hard time at the moment, Malan, isn't he? Like, from journos, from players, everybody's after him.
Yeah, it's one thing after the other, isn't it, at the minute? He did what he sort of ended up crawling in as well, he dropped his bat after the barge and made sure that he got beyond the crease so he couldn't get run out.
Yeah, just about made it.
Did feel like he dropped the shoulder on him there, Fernando, a little bit.
He gave him a bit,
Might have to be looked at after the game, I think.
Yeah, it's a bit of a marking territory, maybe. That kind of situation. Well, everybody's back, and we're back in for the next delivery. Fernando in, and this time the ball's been left alone outside the off-stump, through to the keeper. Good length that from Binura Fernando. Not the pace of Chameera, but certainly that consistency of length. 6 for no loss after 1.5.
Yeah, I was impressed with it. He like you say, not the same pace as Chameera, but his control seems really good, and he gets bounced as well. He's quite tall, stays tall in his action. And he's getting some swing this afternoon. Bit of swing and bounce, and that's going to make it really tricky for these two openers.
Fernando bustles in once again. He bowls another good delivery outside off, beating the outside edge of Dawid Malan as it goes through to the keeper, and that's the end of the over. Another over that's only gone for 3. 6 for no loss after 2. It's a great delivery that to finish the over, Jimmy Anderson.
Yeah, there's a snore to that. It's back of a length, this one. Got that shape again, and then Malan just having to drop his hands on it so make sure he didn't get an outside edge.
It's this quality test match style bowling so far from the Sri Lankan opening bowlers. We noticed that quite unusually for modern T20 cricket, Chameera was given a 3-over spell to start the last game. I know they were defending a very low total. Do you think they'll do the same thing again?
If he carries on like this, yeah, I think if you want to be taking wickets in the power play. That's absolutely crucial in this form of the game. So if you can maybe get a wicket or two in his next over, then that'll certainly make the captain want to bowl him through the whole power play.
Yes, some very good quick bowling from the Sri Lankan openers. We've got about just over 6,000 people in at the Ageas Bowl today. It's at 25% capacity. And an expectant crowd awaits as the next ball's been smashed down the ground. Well, there's a crowd pleaser. It's not quite connected perfectly, but it's going to trickle into the boundary sponge for the first 4 of the day. England move into double figures, 10 for no loss after 2.1.
Yeah, after a couple of orthodox cover drives in the first over that he played and missed at, Jonny Bairstow's gone a little bit more agricultural first ball of this over. He's gone sort of flat bat down the ground. It was a decent ball from Chameera, just trying to continue that same sort of bowling that he did in his first over, just that nice length, bit of shape away. But Bairstow's trying to impose himself on him now.
It felt like a classic shackle breaker. Slips still in place though as Chameera comes in and bowls. This time Jonny Bairstow goes aerial, doesn't quite connect with that cover drive, but it bounces away to deep third and they'll take a single. The score will move on to 11 for naught, and Jonny Bairstow can just take a breath maybe at the non-striker's end. Seems to be signalling his attacking intent now. Well, we know that these two teams have played each other 11 times in the past, with England winning 7 and Sri Lanka winning 4, but England haven't lost to Sri Lanka in an international T20 since 2014. It's a long 7-year itch for the Sri Lankans. They might have thought they were in with a chance in Cardiff, that rainy night in Cardiff, but Livingstone and Billings and then Livingstone and Curran just took England home. There was that great photo of Curran and Livingstone. It looked like a still from the Shawshank Redemption, with the rain falling on them.
Yeah.
It was extraordinary when Chameera now, the slip's gone out. He comes and he bowls a slightly shorter ball, which Malan has attempted to pull, hasn't quite connected. It's gone to backward square leg for a single. Score moves on to 12 for no loss. That's a long old gap. I mean, when you know you haven't beaten a team for 7 years, Jimmy, that's got to weigh on you.
Yeah, I think it does. I think, well, to be honest, quite a lot of these players wouldn't have been involved in any games against England before, so that shouldn't affect you too much. But I think it's more the fact that they're a team in transition and they're just trying to gain experience as they go, and that's probably been Sri Lanka's issue this series.
It's been a difficult time for Sri Lanka as Chameera comes in once again, this time squaring up. Bairstow pushes the ball to backward point for no run. Score remains 12 for no loss after 2.4 overs. Yeah, I mean, they went through 6 captains in 5 years, Sri Lanka, and each time they would discard the captain from the squad as well. I mean, it doesn't feel like a million years ago when Angelo Matthews was captain of the team. Now he doesn't make the starting 11. It's quite hard to keep track of, to be honest. You know, we watch a lot of Sri Lankan cricket, but it's a rotating door at the moment for players, and it's so hard to get settled in that environment, I imagine. As Chameera comes in once again, he bowls a fuller ball, this time pushed with soft hands into the covers by Bairstow, and they run through for a quick single. Applauded by the crowd here at the Ageas Bowl. 13 for no loss after 2.5.
Yeah, I think if you look at what England did since their 2015 World Cup with their white ball cricket, especially 50-over cricket leading into the 2019 World Cup, they stuck with pretty much the same players throughout. And even when they had a dip in form, the coach and captain would stick by them and give them confidence and say, no, you're our best player, you're playing, you're going to play, because we know that you'll come through this and keep performing. I think Sri Lanka need that, put the trust in the players to play a long period of time.
Chameera in now once again, this time tight length, which has been pushed again with soft hands by Malan into the covers for a quick single. So 2 quick singles in quick succession to end that over. 14 for no loss after 3 overs. England having been put into bat by Sri Lanka. A reminder that you can watch video clips of all the action on the BBC Sport website and app, and our full highlight show is on BBC 2 from 7 p.m. this evening, featuring Ebony Rainford Brent, MBE, and James Anderson, OB. I'm going to get those honours in on a regular basis now. I've just decided it's the best way to hint, isn't it? 14 for no loss. Not quite the fireworks that maybe some of this 6,000 plus crowd expected, but some decent bowling and an even contest, you'd say, so far. 14 for no loss after 3. As in comes Binura for Fernando. The next ball's on the pads of Malan. It's been smashed high up in the air, all the way for 6 into the leg side. Well, that is entertaining, and you can hear the cheers of the crowd who appreciate that shot from Dawid Malan. 20 for no loss after 3.1.
Yeah, great shot, and he just erred in length the first time. Got a slightly too full, Fernando. Malan walked across his stumps, got the length that he wanted, and it's a great pickup shot. Just a little clip. Didn't try and overhit it, but he times it so well. So a fairly big boundary at deep square.
It was a huge boundary. We just watched as the ball sailed over it. Sort of half premeditated, that shot, wasn't it? As Fernando comes in, he's still got the slip in place, still erring onto the pads of Malan, who works this into the deep leg side area for a single this time. He's into double figures as well. Malan on 10 off 7. England 21 for no loss. You can be punished like a batsman like that. That's so capable. You build all this pressure as a coach or somebody who's watching, who's been working with Fernando and Chameera. It must be so frustrating to see that in line.
Yeah, it happens though, especially when you come up against a quality opening attack like opening partnership. Like this. Just that it doesn't have to be too much either. You could just miss your length by a foot, and it's just that bit too much, and the batsman will punish you.
He moved across the stumps, as you said as well, just in anticipation of that, as Fernando comes in once again, back of a length this time, and pulled by Jonny Bairstow into the leg side. There is a man out there for protection, and just the single taken, but some more attacking intent now from these England batsmen. 22 for no loss after 3.3. Bairstow on 12 of 14. Malan on 10 off 7.
Yeah, you can see they're probably just trying to accelerate a bit now, make the most of this power play. Not losing a wicket in the first 3 allows you that sort of ability to now just try and nudge the rate along a little bit, because 22 off 3.3 is not on a pitch that looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I think they'll be hoping to up the run rate in the next couple of overs.
We've seen some enormous scores from this England batting lineup over the years, batting first and batting second. As in comes Fernando, another pull shot attempted. This time he missed that. Did Malan, and just floated up in the air on the offside. In the end, bounced in no man's land, and there is no run. Wasn't super quick from Fernando, 81 miles per hour, but still just a deceptive pace. I guess it's one of those pitches, Jimmy, where it's worth taking your time just to invest a little bit, pick the measure of the bowlers before you go after them. Yeah,
Malan looking quizzically at the pitch there as well, as if it had come off the pitch at the pace he wasn't expecting.
Fernando in once again. This time a straight-to delivery has been played into the leg side by Malan for no run. A couple of decent balls here from Fernando in sequence. 22 for no loss. The Sri Lankans have bowled some really good deliveries today, and in sequence as well, but just England have always managed to find a way to dissipate the pressure.
Yeah, and that, again, it's just the quality of batsmen on show. Like if you don't get the ball that you want to smack out of the ground, then it's having the ability to just rotate strike, keep nudging the rate along as you even if you get good balls.
Fernando in now, short outside the off stump, attempted cut shot from Malan. He missed it, and it went through to the keeper. And that is the end of the 4th over. 22 for no loss after 4. As Malan maybe was looking for a wide. He did kind of step away from the stumps there, but he did that thing that all batsmen do, really, didn't he? When the bowler pushes it a bit wide. Well, he moved away.
Yeah, again, a show of intent from Malan. But I'm just wondering whether the way both batsmen are looking at this pitch, whether they think it's a little bit too paced or a bit slow, because I don't feel like they're timing it that well or playing that freely. So they might just be taking their time to get used to that pace.
Yes, of course. Aside from that 6 that we saw into the leg side, every other kind of aggressive shot hasn't quite been timed very well, as you say. And we've seen a few sort of here and there. Now then, Isuru Udana is going to come into the attack, persisting with seam. And Chameera's only having a 2-over spell today, as Udana comes in and bowls his first ball wide down leg side, really wide actually. That was a superb take from Dickwella behind the stumps. But an extra for England, 23 for no loss after 4. That's a superb take down the leg side. Anticipated that early, moved quickly Dickwella.
Yeah, I always think it's a sign of a good keeper when you can get 2 hands on those big dives down the leg side. rather than just sticking a hand out, which some do. Good footwork.
Make a good goalkeeper, wouldn't he? Udana in once again, Fuller this time, and smashed down the ground by Jonny Bairstow. One bounce into the fence, 4 runs, authoritative stuff, and the first proper connection from him. 27 for no loss after 4.1.
Yeah, that's a great shot. It got a little bit of width, quite full as well. Looking for some swing was Udana, but right where Jonny Bairstow would want it, hitting through it over the top. Not scared of going over the top in these early overs, isn't Jonny Bairstow?
He just has to clear that infield, and he knows it's pretty safe. As Udana in once again, this time going down the leg side, a long way down, and this time Dickwella can't get to it. It's going to be 5 wides, I'm afraid. Yes, it is. Well, that's the last thing Sri Lanka want, having started reasonably well. Well, these England batsmen can get away from them very quickly. 31 now for no loss after 4.1.
Yeah, that would have been a wide to a left-hander, I think. It was a really bad ball, but first ball he swung, second one he's pushed outside off stump, trying to swing back, but didn't. So then he's gone a little bit straighter again, and it's just gone miles down the leg side. Well,
Udana's back in quickly now. He bowls, this time outside the off stump. It's been driven, but only as far as extra cover. No run. There's a shy at the non-striker's end as well. A little bit of frustration, perhaps, amidst the Sri Lankans, because that's technically the 4th ball of this over, but of course there's been 2 wide, so still 4 more to come. 32 for no loss after 4.2 overs.
Yeah, horrible place to be as a bowler when you've gone for 10 off 2 balls. Yeah. It's
no fun. We've seen some big scores and some expensive overs this year, particularly in the T20 Blast, but yeah, not too many big scores in international T20 so far this season. Shorter from Udana. It's been cut, but again to that fielder extra cover. And no run again. He's just grateful to land one just outside off at this point, Udana. It puts you under pressure straight away. As you say, your first 2 balls going for 10. It just puts an enormous amount of pressure on you. And I noticed that he just rushes straight back in. He doesn't take that split second at the top of his run, as he is doing this time, to be fair.
Just a change in field as well. He's been hit straight to extra cover a couple of balls in a row. So he's just putting that fielder back on the boundaries, extra protection.
He's got protection either side now, as Udana, as the next ball is a little bit fuller. It's been cut by Bairstow, kind of behind square, but the fielder is sweeping. We'll get round to it. So just the one. Excellent piece of work in the deep by Kusal. No, I beg your pardon. It was Wanindu Hasaranga who was out there sweeping in the covers. I guess it helps to have a man out in the deep on either side, especially when you've got a left and right hand combination to bowl to.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just hard, isn't it? Bowling in the power play with 2 fielders outside the circle. Where do you put them? Especially to these 2. So yeah, I mean, it's some people like protecting one side of the field, but with Udana's first few balls, we've seen he's sprayed it a little bit, so he's just trying to protect both sides of the wicket. And
then you've got to start thinking about a deep fine leg as well, or a deep third, or something like that. Already some challenges for Kusal Perera, as Udana has been expensive. He's coming in for his 5th delivery. Full ball is down the leg side, and that has been wided as well. That's the 3rd wide delivery he's bowled, and the 7th run off a wide in this over for England. 34 for no loss after 4.4 overs. Gosh, it's been a long old over, hasn't it?
Yeah, I feel for him now. Just not quite getting his radar working today. It's a tough game when that happens.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can only imagine. Udana back in now. This time he bowls another one down the leg side, and well, he's got to get that radar fixed quickly. These runs are costly for Sri Lanka. 35 for no loss after 4.4 overs. And the Sri Lankan captain is not pleased. He's coming over to have a chat with his bowler now. I wonder what it is he's saying to him. Like, what would a captain say to you, Jimmy, in that kind of scenario when you just keep...
I think it's just trying to calm you down and make sure you're concentrating on the right things, not rushing through it too much. There's not a lot you can say, really.
I suppose not. In comes Udana now, this time a little bit fuller, but on the pad still of Dawid Malan, who flicks that into the mid-wicket region, and it does hit the fence. Another boundary for England. This is a very, very expensive over from Udana. If he's not bowling it wide, he's bowling it into the hitting arc. And England are moving on. 39 for no loss after 4.5 overs. Such a lovely stroke, even applauded by the Sri Lankan fans here at the Aegeus Bowl.
It was a nice shot, but I guess it was a positive because it was straight, but it was right in the slot for Malan. Length was too full. Big gap on the leg side for him to chip it into.
He's gone for 17 so far on this over, Udana, as he comes in. His last ball takes a thick outside edge and just goes on the bounce to short third to end that over with a dot ball. So England, after 5 overs, a 39 for no loss. Looking good, having been put into bat by Sri Lanka. Busara Udana has just gone for 17 in that over. Should he get another one straight afterwards? Jimmy Anderson, I'll let you think about that. And in a moment, you're going to be joined by Prince Charles Dagnall.
Yeah, I can't see Udana getting another over after that. I think we'll have to look to his other bowlers, Perera. I think maybe spin might be an option, especially we've got a big leg side boundary for Jonny Bairstow from the end we're looking at here for the spinners to bowl to.
Hello, Jim. I've been waiting 10 minutes. That over was ages. Absolutely, yeah. You feel for him a little bit when you just don't get it right. And then it ends up coming out a little bit floaty, doesn't it? And because you're just taking a little bit out of the action to make sure that the radar is working correctly. And in so doing, you're actually not really thinking about where the ball's going to be landing.
Yeah, it looked like he was just trying to put it there at the end, trying to just get it somewhere near the stumps. And then obviously, you take your eye off the length and then get it for 4.
39. It had been a pretty good 4 overs. It was a decent start for Sri Lanka. They've yet to make a breakthrough. And England 39 without loss. Lovely hum around the Aegeus Bowl, even though there's only 6,500. We're going to see Lakshan Sandakan come on with his left arm wrist spin from the pavilion end. Long on in place and a deep mid-wicket. His first delivery is wallop straight back down the ground and will be 4. Lovely punch drive from Jonny Bairstow. It was full of length. Didn't really have to do much. Maybe get the left leg out of the way, but a crisp strike and Bairstow moves England to 43 without loss.
Yeah, poor start from the spinner. Too full. And with mid-off in the circle, it was an easy shot for Jonny Bairstow straight down the ground. Beat him on the right-hand side.
5 fielders in the offside ring. It's a short, fine leg and a backwards square leg. And the infielders, as Lakshan's second delivery is carved away. It's well fielded at backward point, diving away to the right-hand side to prevent another boundary. Fielding in the main has been good from Sri Lanka. Bairstow 21, Malan 14 from 12 deliveries. Lakshan spins the ball from hand to hand and then starts and stops again. Wasn't quite ready, signalled dead ball, and all is ready to go once more. Holds his hands high above his head as he skips in, bowls, and cutting away is Jonny Bairstow, just off balance ever so slightly. Doesn't time it out to cover point. It goes. Very still day here at the Aegeus Bowl. Lakshan again, past the looming figure of umpire Worf. Bowls and Bairstow drives gloriously through the extra cover region. 5 fielders inside the offside ring, but he managed to thread the needle and goes away to the boundary for 4 more. 47 without loss.
Yeah, another good shot. We've not seen any spin yet from Sandakan. It's skidding on a little bit. And Bairstow's just able to play some classical cricket shots here. That's a great cover drive.
It's an odd action of Sandakan's. It's not a full rotation of the arm. It's almost like a 3/4. Gets it by the side of his body and then hurls it down as next delivery is bowled much straighter length, better length from Sandakan, and out it goes to extra cover. 54 miles an hour, so just pushing it through a little bit more quickly. Towards as he hums once more, and this on leg stump is firmly played away through the onside by Bairstow to that deep mid-wicket fielder, and a single is collected. 48 without loss at the end of the 6th over. So the power play overs are done. England negotiating them. It wasn't electric to start off with, but they managed to pick up the pace in the last 3 overs. Little surprised that both Chameera and Fernando got a second over. Just because batsmen can line you up a little bit after seeing you 4 and over, just to gauge the pace of the pitch. And England will be delighted that they're there. None down. If you are just joining us, those team changes. Moeen Ali and Chris Woakes come into the side for Mark Wood and Jason Roy. As James Anderson has left us, and Ebony Rain for Brent, World Cup winner,
Hello.
comes in alongside Woakes and Moeen Ali. It's almost like a game from 2015, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how Moeen Ali goes. The last time we saw him really was that test match in India where he came out in the last game and had some fun, bowled beautifully. I feel like he's the people's choice, isn't he? He's one of those players you want to see him in a lineup.
That's right.
See how he
People's champ,
goes.
Moeen Ali.
Hasaranga's become one of my favourite cricketers as well.
Yeah, he's bowled well. Economy rate of 5.1 in his last 10 games. His first delivery is a short pie that gets pulled by Jonny Bairstow out through deep mid-wicket. Smart piece of fielding coming round from the boundary, and it brings up England's 50. 50 without loss. Bairstow moves to 28 not out. Isuru Udana was doing the fielding from out long on. Bairstow on 28. Hasaranga in again. Tosses this one up, driven firmly down the ground. There's a chase on for Udana, going to his strong side though, his left-hand side, so there'll only be one. And England to 51 without loss.
Bit of concern for Sri Lanka, really. They'd improved their bowling considerably, I thought, in the last game. Looked on point, on the money. And today, everybody's just looked a little bit off in terms of we saw what happened with Udana. The first few balls here from Hasaranga, who arguably is one of their better bowlers. So they just need to settle in and find some rhythm, I think, with the ball.
Strong beard from Hasaranga. The diamond in the left ear. And then the blonde streaks as well.
And
So
then the
it's a
boots.
great look. And then the blue boots. Light blue boots against the dark blue. It's almost like he thought of this.
Bit of rock star.
Yeah, there's a bit of swagger about Hasaranga. 49 on his back. And Malan faces up to him as he comes in, bowls, and driving is Malan, just touching it really out towards the edge of the 30-yard circle. Bairstow eager to see if there's two. Malan not as interested. And England 52 without loss. Field changes round for the right-hand, left-hand combination, something that's the opening pairings that England could or have used in Roy and Bairstow and Butler. Bit of a novel thing having the right-hand, left-hand at the top of the order. So the deep fielders now, with the fielding restrictions relaxed, deep cover, long off, long on, deep mid-wicket, deep backward square as Hasaranga bowls, and this is thumped into the turf and straight back to the bowler.
Trying to do my maths and work out what a good score is, Daggers. I'm going at just under 8s at the moment.
Go on then, do your maths. As Hasaranga bowls, this is turned after coming down the wicket by Bairstow into the onside, just a little too firmly almost, because the on-rushing fielder Dasun Shanaka was coming in from the boundary edge.
Well, what I can't work out, forget the maths for a second, is I'll come back to that and get someone on Twitter to help out. But what I was going to say is, yeah, the wicket, it's not quite coming on. You can see from the nature of the shots that England haven't been dynamic, explosive. There was that over from Udana, which was actually loose.
Hasaranga over the wicket to the left-handed Malan, who just places this through the onside, and they will come back for the second this time. It is well placed. It's in between long on and deep mid-wicket, so 2 runs collected, 55 without loss.
So I'm just trying to think, what will they go? So they go at 10s. Okay, let's say they add. They could get to a 170, 180 quite comfortably.
7 overs gone, by the way. The end of the 7th, 55 without loss. It was always I remember an old captain of mine, Vince Wells, at Leicestershire.
I know Vince Wells.
Good man, Vince.
He coached us for a bit, actually, with the England women for a little while. But carry on.
When he was our captain, we always said, what would be a good score? And he would ponder and just wonder and look to the skies and then sort of look out to the pitch, and he goes, well, I think about 3,000 would be a really good score. And there's no answer to that. Yes, of course it would be. It was almost to say, don't ask me again. Don't forget, England women begin their white ball summer tomorrow with the first ODI in Bristol, and you can hear commentary of that on 5 Live Sports Extra from 10:45 after the drawn test match. What a good test match!
It was good. I'm looking forward to I'm looking forward to this drawn going into it. So a lot to play for, both teams.
Fresh pitch, probably.
Don't, daggers, don't. Social media got stuck in on that, didn't they?
They did. Here's Sandakan for his second over, and forward comes Jonny Bairstow. Watchfully just plays it back up the pitch. Sandakan theatrically tumbles to his left-hand side and parries it to the fielder at extra cover. There is no run. 9 off his first over. Bairstow with the left arm wrist spin, a slightly open stance, waits for him, and this is flatter, and it's been top edge. It could go to third man. No, just beyond the short third fielder as it trickles down towards the boundary. It is collected by Fernando, and a couple of runs, but the first time we've seen something false from Jonny Bairstow.
You can see what he was thinking in terms of the pace. There wasn't a huge amount of spin off the wicket. He wanted to come down and bully it over the top. Just maybe got a 2-leg side in the end, didn't quite get in line enough.
Sandakan again bowls, cut away by Bairstow, firmly through the covers. Long chase out for the deep fielder, and I can't tell you who that is because they have no name or number on the back of their shirt. We'll work that out. I just wonder who that could be. Anyway, a couple of runs to the England total. 59 without loss after 7.3 overs. And Sandakan spins the ball from hand to hand, bowls another shortish delivery, chopped away by Bairstow through the offside, out towards long off. Big boundaries here, so plenty of 2s and even 3s available for England, but that time just 1, 60 without loss. Bairstow moves to 35 not out of 32 deliveries faced. He's faced the lion's share of the batting so far in this innings. Livingstone down to come in at 3. Jason Roy with just a niggle of his hamstring. England protecting him, as quite rightly they should, with so much white ball cricket to come. A T20 World Cup later on down the line, which looks as though it's going to be in the United Arab Emirates. Still waiting on absolute rubber-stamped confirmation of that as Sandakan bowls, and this is carved away by Malan out through the deep cover region. Another single onto the total, 61 without loss.
I think this is where the questions around Malan were, wasn't it? In the winter, is the subcontinent and the lower, slower wickets, is he somebody who, you know, can dominate in those conditions?
You're going to face a lot of spin. Sandakan to finish off the over, and Jonny Bairstow tries to stand up and almost sweep the ball from a standing position, swat it away. Doesn't connect, it wraps him on the pad, and umpire Wharf signals leg by to conclude the 8th over. So a quiet period for England at the moment, 62 without loss. The run rate 7.8 runs and over, and plenty of batting to come. I'm just wondering if we're going to see a pointed acceleration from England at the moment. They look in pretty good order, but it also looks as though it's one of those pitches where it might be difficult for new batters to get themselves set early.
That's what I was thinking about when the score, I think that's very much comfortably on the board if to get to 170 plus if you have long partnerships. I think as soon as you get a breakthrough at the moment, it's going to take batters a little while to get reset and started.
Hasaranga in for his second over. Googly, a good one as well, and Bairstow adjusts nicely, rocking onto the back foot, playing it square through the offside, and there'll only be a single. Sri Lanka looked lively today in the field. 63 without loss. A host of Sri Lankan flags to our left-hand side, just underneath the scoreboard, using them as blankets.
That's what I was thinking
at the moment. It's quite a warm day, though.
It's all right outside. Well, the crowd looks decent as well. I'm not sure what the capacity is allowed today, but
6.5, we think.
It looks good.
Does look good, doesn't it? As a reverse is attempted by Malan, and he connects. And it gets through, and it's going down towards the deep third boundary, 4-4. Really well-played shot. It was more about the placement than the timing than anything for Dawid Malan. But he manages to pick up another boundary, and England moved to 67 without loss.
Yeah, so controlled, isn't it, the way he played that. He was very clear in his mind what he wanted, got the hands out early to create that angle. Really nice.
Well, the two fielders up inside the circle. There is a short third man. There's a backward point almost like a deep gully, really, 4 to try and protect from that shot as Hasaranga bowls, and slightly slower, given more air, and it's driven uppishly by Malan through the cover point region. He'll only pick up a single. 68 without loss. Be great when everyone's back, though. When this place is absolutely rocking.
Edgbaston was wild the other day.
Oh,
The Holly
saw
stand.
it on the telly. It's a bonkers stand, isn't it? Here's Hasaranga, full of length and a yelp. Not quite sure, because it couldn't have hit more of the middle of Jonny Bairstow's bat. Played it out too long on for another single. 69 without loss. Just a reminder that you can watch video clips of all of the action on the BBC Sport website and app currently as Hasaranga bowls, and this has been a slog swept by Malan. It looks like he's got it clean. Is it going down the throat of the fielder? Just beyond deep backward square. I thought he hit it well, but it's a very long section of the ground, arguably the furthest boundary, and he got enough bat on it to send it sailing over the rope, and England to 75 without loss.
Well, I think the acceleration is coming. Got it a little bit more on the toe end of the bat, actually, and went quite high. So the key was that he committed to it, which allowed the ball to just about creep over the boundary.
Hasaranga response is dealt with beautifully by Malan as he lofted drives the next delivery over extra cover for 4 more runs. It's a shot that's more akin to Eoin Morgan playing that extra cover drive that's lofted, but now England are starting to motor. Excellent over from them. Malan's 33 and England are 79 without loss.
I think what I really liked about that over really is just the clarity on what he wanted. He was got the reverse sweep out, the slot sweep, and then chipping one over the top. So we saw a full array really, but they were all pretty controlled. Good to see him opening up his hips. Talking about opening up the hips, you're enjoying these tunes, Daggers?
I am. I like standing, especially in T20 cricket commentary. Like to see the overview and the whole view, just to see where the fielders are. There's a lady down there in an orange bib with very pink hair.
I'm a fan.
You like that? See a little bit. Have you ever thought of putting
Nah.
a streak in?
Nah.
No?
Do you think I should?
James Anderson over there saying, no, I've never thought of it. Apart from that...
Bleach blonde.
Apart from the bleach blonde and the red stripe that he had, and... Did he have a blue stripe? No, he didn't.
It wasn't bleach, it was almost silver, wasn't it?
Anyway, Udana's back into the attack. Left-hander, and he's get pulled away first delivery, and is he out? Well, it's one of those catches. I don't think he is out. It was a whole mess made over on the deep square boundary by Hasaranga. It was one of those catches where you try and catch it within, your balance is going over the rope, and then you toss it up to yourself. But I wonder if he caught it and actually stepped on the rope in his first attempt. As it stands, I think it's going to get called 6. What do you see on the replay?
It looks like he caught it, but his foot went over the line. He could have actually got a... You know, I was watching Chris Jordan actually today and Sam Billings practicing that, and they got slightly side on, which just allowed them to be able to get that extra hand space over the line, where he kind of just almost went completely back and lost momentum.
6 runs, England 85 without loss. A cut shot for the next Udana delivery. He's not having a great day, is Udana. And it goes out to deep point and very well run by Jonny Bairstow, who collects a brace. And England to 87 without loss. It's always difficult to tell. We're obviously far away from the action, especially on the deep square boundary. I wasn't quite sure if he'd stepped over or if he'd managed to keep his balance in.
Yeah, so he caught it, but his right leg went over the actual line as he had the ball in his hands. So I think that was more of a technique thing than anything.
Yeah. I've seen so many brilliant exhibitions of that, and it's something that the players do practice as well. It's slightly different when it's in the pressure of an actual game, but to see it happen so regularly now, where the manager, if you know that you're going to topple over, but just to have the awareness to flick it up, step over and step back in and take the catch. 87 without loss. Here's Udana, left arm seamer over the wicket and bowls a slower ball, a well-bowled one as well. Just nibbles over the top of Jonny Bairstow's attempted late cut, doesn't connect, and through to Dickwella, the wicketkeeper it goes.
Udana's back after a tough over that went for 17.
Yeah.
So far controlled.
25 he's conceded off 1.3 overs. England 87 without loss halfway through the 10th. They're on 5 Live Sports Extra. Great to have your company this Saturday afternoon for the third T20 international between England and Sri Lanka as Udana bowls a Yorker. Oh, it's a beauty as well, and Jonny Bairstow does magnificently to keep it out, jamming the bat between ball and ground, almost toppling over in the process.
Oh, the variations coming out, he really did well. That is a perfect Yorker. Crease line, just had to jam it down last minute.
Almost like he was trying to play the draw between the legs, the nutmeg. Wasn't successful. He stands upright, waiting for Udana, coming from the pavilion end, bowls a short, slower ball, gets cut away by Bairstow, firmly out to the deep cover boundary, and they're going to come back for the second, one for the arm, and it's a good decision. And I think you can do that here at the Ageas Bowl, even with boundary riders on the fence. You can take into account the boundary sizes, especially square of the wicket. A couple of runs collected by England move them to 89 without loss. Deep field, and third man and final leg up inside the circle, so long on and long off are out. You're expecting full from Udana here as he ambles in towards us, and this is a beautiful shot from Bairstow. He waited on the back foot and then drove it on the up through the extra cover region. It's a very attractive shot from Bairstow. It brings him his half century. He's 51 not out, England 93 without loss halfway through their innings. A wonderful way to bring up his half century. Ebony, talk us through that, and Atif is coming in for me.
Well, first of all, what a wonderful T20 player, the opportunity to step up today and always seems to find a way to deliver. That shot as well, he knew the ball was going to be full and he just created a little bit of depth in the crease and then just worked the hands. I mean, that's real T20 skills. I just sense as well, now, you know, they're passing these milestones, they passed the halfway stage, these two could start to press the accelerator, Atif.
Yeah, Ebony, I think it's a bit ominous for Sri Lanka at this point with the way these two England batsmen are playing. We're talking about, you know, Dawid Malan being under pressure. I mean, he's putting in a great performance here, but Jonny Bairstow has just played some extraordinary shots all around the wicket as well and just entertained this crowd. So many cheers and appreciation being shown by the 6,000 odd that have been allowed into the Ageas Bowl today, as Sandakan is back in and his first ball's been played and missed outside the off stump by Malan. Through to the keeper, a little bit of respite for the Sri Lankan bowlers who are going to all parts at the moment.
He looks like really fine with this one, didn't he? Tried to just tickle it past the keeper.
Didn't quite get the contact, which is probably just as well. As Sandakan in once again, this time wide outside the off stump, has been played uppishly, just beats the dive, or the jump I should say, of the backward point fielder and races away to the backward point boundary for 4 runs. So Malan also accelerating now. Not the most convincing shot he's ever played, but he'll take the score.
Yeah, take the score. I'm just thinking at the halfway stage now, England comfortably looking like they could get to 200 with the way that they're going, the way the Sri Lankans are bowling, offering width and a few freebies.
10 wickets in hand still, remember. So they can afford to really go hard here, England. 97 for no loss after 10.2 overs. As Sandakan is back in again. Wide outside the off stump, cut by Malan, but only as far as the short extra cover fielder. No run. 2 dots and a boundary in this over so far for Sandakan. He likes to get through his overs. He's always right back at his mark. He's right there and waiting now. Flicking the ball from left to right hand as he comes back in. And this time another tight delivery which Malan can just bunt back to him for no run. 97 for no loss. The score remains. Good pressure this from Sandakan.
Yeah, they just need to apply it at both ends now, back to back. It's been let up at one end or the other, and it allows these batters to just keep the scoreboard nicely ticking.
Short outside the off stump this time from Sandakan. It's been driven out to the man sweeping in the covers, and a single will be taken by Malan, who pounds his pad with his bat in frustration. Wanted to find the gap either side of him, I imagine. 98 for no loss after 10.5. There's a lot going on with the Sandakan at the when he's standing there. You know, it's like the inside of a Rolex watch, you know, and it's just all the bits that are moving from one to the other. He kind of grips the ball in 2 hands and flicks it from the other to the other, and in he comes and bowls another dot ball. So tidy over that in the end from Sandakan, just the 5 off it. 98 for no loss England after 11 overs. Just a little breather there for Sri Lanka amidst all this carnage, Ebbs.
Yeah, a little breather, and if they can back it up, or just a couple of tidy overs, it creates a bit of pressure, might force England to have to do something different. So that I feel that's their problem at the moment, is even when they have a good little patch, then it's not backed up at the other end. Udana's done well actually to come back following his first really difficult over that went for 17. He a couple of good Yorkers in there, using the variety and pace. So if they can back up that last over now, then all of a sudden England might be trying to accelerate the scoreboard and create an opportunity.
They started really well as well, Sri Lanka. They were hitting really good length. There were some plays and misses outside the off stump, and they strung together a sequence of good deliveries. But after that wicket didn't fall, their shoulders sort of dropped a little bit. And then, as you say, that Udana over happened, 17 off it, and he's recovered well. He's gone for 31 from his 2 overs, still quite expensive as he comes in, this time outside the off stump. Malan plays with soft hands behind the third region, and it races away for 4. That is a deft shot from Dawid Malan. Delicate play. The England 100 comes up as well, 102 for no wicket after 11.1.
Well, good shake of hands, and they know why, because an unbeaten 100 partnership is brilliant. And also for Malan, that's one of his go-to shots. He loves the dab sweep, just very fine with the hands and opening it up. He's under pressure at the moment. He's getting close to that half century. One of those will just keep his name in the hat for sure.
Yeah, it's a great strike rate as well. 42 off 25 so far for Malan. As Udana comes in, full ball, that Yorker length has been dug out by Malan. They run the first one quickly. Will they take 2? Bairstow's coming back, and they make it for 2 comfortably in the end. That is excellent running by this England pair. 104 for no wicket. You can always tell a really good 2, Ebbs, when the crowd applauded. When the whole crowd applauds the 2, it was a good 2.
It's good. This is what makes England a good team. Sri Lanka did not do that over the last 2 games, which is, even if the ball's not there, find a way to create and just keep that scoreboard ticking. That was excellent.
Yes, they're very, very pleased. Well, they will be very pleased with this performance so far, England. 104 for no loss. Malan on strike. Udana in. It's a slower ball. It's been pushed into the leg side by Malan. He'll take the single. He looks up to the heavens and practices a more aggressive shot than Malan. He's doing okay. 45 of 27. I think he may have heard 1 or 2 of the articles that have been floating around about him. He might have heard the gist of them, if not the full article, and he'll be keen to make a statement with the bat. And thus far, he's done very much that. 105 for no wicket after 11.3.
Yeah, in some ways, you just say, you look at his record, what has he actually done wrong? He's got a good strike, very good strike rate, 140 odd. His T20 average is brilliant, up there at the top of the rankings. The sign of a good team, though, is when a player like that is still under pressure.
Udana in from wide of the crease, and he's bowled him. He's gone through Jonny Bairstow. The slower ball just defeated him. Udana with a very muted celebration there. The Sri Lankans have taken a bit of a pounding today, 105 runs, that first partnership, but it's finally come to an end from a good ball by Udana. Full one that beats Jonny Bairstow. He has to go for 51, and England 105 for 1.
Yeah, a bit of a mistake there from Bairstow. First of all, good ball from Udana. He was looking to go full. That's how his field was set. He just angles it in, doesn't he, as that left arm kind of just shaped all the way in. And I think Bairstow was just thinking, let me just work this around the corner, but took his eye off the ball. But nonetheless, a good half century. And they're setting England up for a big platform if the others can come in and keep the scoreboard ticking.
Yeah, it's 105 for 1 after 11.4 overs. Would you be tempted to mess with the batting order a little bit?
In what way? Well, I mean, this team kind of just gets on with it, don't they? I'm just thinking Livingstone coming in. Ali's coming in. There's a lot of players coming in that will all want to keep things ticking. Would you change it?
I mean, maybe just selfishly, I want to see Moeen Ali bat off.
I get that.
It's been a while, but obviously Liam Livingstone, he's not had a lot of opportunities. He came to the party in the last match and took England home in that Shawshank redemption moment, which I mentioned earlier, with the rain falling. It was really lovely, really. It was quite poetic. I hope somebody does an oil painting of it. It'll look quite nice, won't it? Yeah, he's a very aggressive batsman. He's done well for Lancashire this season as well, opening the batting for them. Coming in at number 3 for England today. England have had 3 different opening combinations in these 3 matches, some by circumstance. I can't imagine it was by choice. But here we are.
It's going to be interesting to see how a new batter comes to the crease because of the wicket. It looked like it takes a bit of time to get the timing right.
Yes. A bit too paced as well, possibly, as Jimmy was saying earlier. As in comes Udana, this time full ball has been defended back to him, and that will be a dot. One ball to come from Udana here, who, you've got to be said, he's shown a bit of character here. You know, after that first over, his radar was all over the place. 7 wides in that over, 17 runs off it. He's done quite well to come back.
He has. Look, there's a lot of players who, after you lose your rhythm, you're bowling off, and then you get punished as well. It can send you off. He's come back with a very clear strategy, full and in the block hole.
Udana from wide of the crease once again for another full ball, aiming for that block hole, just under pitching a little bit as the ball is played to mid-wicket by Livingstone. He's off the mark, and that's the end of the 12th over. 106 for 1. Dawid Malan will be the non-strikers, and he's got 45 of 27 deliveries. And as you say, as this England batting lineup, it just goes on and on and on, and everybody can hit the ball. Eoin Morgan due to come in next, then Sam Billings, then Moeen Ali, then Sam Curran, then Chris Woakes. David Willey can hit the ball. Chris Jordan, Adil Rashid's got first-class centuries. I mean, is this what... This could be the best batting T20 team of all time.
You just think about England's white ball cricket back in 2015, and then obviously the revolution with Eoin Morgan changing the nature of this side, and everyone's just encouraged to hit the ball. I mean, that's a line-up and a half, isn't it? And it says that 200 is comfortably on the board if they can keep the scoreboard ticking.
Yeah, it's still definitely the 8 overs to get there. 106 for 1, 9 wickets in hand, leaving Liam Livingstone in the middle. He had to play uncharacteristically he had to play a bit within himself in that previous game in Cardiff to get England over the line. 29 not out of 26 for him in the previous game. Just guided England over the line. As Sandakan in now, back of a length this time, and punched down the ground by Livingstone to long on for a single. 107 for 1. He's got an opportunity here to, as you say, just take a minute, judge the conditions before launching, as England will look for that big score, and a score in excess of 200. It kind of really demoralised Sri Lanka ahead of the 3 one-day internationals. They've got to come still. Push for even bigger scores than that. The world champions, they'll be fancied. It's a good time to be an England fan right now. Especially if you're in Southampton. You're getting a treat.
It's all happening.
It's all happening. Sandakan at the top of his run. In he comes now. Lots of flight given, driven by Malan, and it beats the dive with the short extra fielder, but the man from long on, Dushmantha, Chameera, will come round and stop the boundary, but they will come back for 2. Malan on to 47 now, closing in on that half century.
It was a really intelligent shot that you could see he'd been eyeing out that sort of extra cover region, and I sense that one was just a push to try and find the angle, and he got the angle for 2. If one's a fraction fuller, he can...
There's a Sandakan in once again, short and punched through the covers by Malan. As he chastises himself, he takes the single. He seems really frustrated at times, doesn't he, Malan? Even when he gets up strike, getting a single, he's getting a really good strike rate, but he seems really kind of beside himself at times.
Yeah,
in the middle.
I think it's because you can see he's eyeing up his gap. He knows exactly where he wants it, and then I suppose when you get the ball and you don't quite get hold of it, you'll be frustrated.
Sandakan in once more. This time Livingstone comes down the ground and drives slightly uppishly towards long on. They take a single. Livingstone on to 3 off 4 now. Malan 48 of 29. England on 111 for 1. All the ones. All of them.
Are we meant to...
Take our feet off the ground. For Nelson. Are you going to do it?
I'm doing it.
Okay, I will too.
I don't know for who... Yeah, it's off.
Sandakan in. And the ball's been punched through the covers again by Malan. We can put our feet on the ground because the score's ticked over to 112. In fact, 113. Oh, there was almost a run out at the non-striker's end. Maybe we took our feet off too quickly. But in the end, that quick 2 gets Dawid Malan to a half century. And the applause of this crowd here at the Ageas Bowl. 50 of 30 balls, an excellent knock. A thumbs up to his partner at the non-striker's end. And... he's put England in a great position here, him and Jonny Bairstow. 113 for 1 after 12.5. On for a big one. As Sandakan comes in, flight given and smashed through the covers hard by Malan. The man sweeping is having to work hard today. Another single taken. Score moves on to 114 for 1 after 13 overs. A telling innings this from Dawid Malan. Under a lot of pressure, under a lot of scrutiny, but coming to the party and showing his skills.
Yeah, and I think there's so many things to like about this. First of all, strike rate 166 so far. But what is impressive about that is it wasn't easy to start. The first 3 or 4 overs they had to grind a little bit. Not grind, but work through it, assess the conditions. So he's really accelerated. There was an over where he just picked up a number of runs. He slog swept, he chipped over extra, and it showed off all his array of shots. So for me, it's hard, isn't it? Because I really like him as a player, and you kind of think he's someone that can be in this side. But then when you start to think, right, you've got to add Stokes back into this lineup, Butler back into this lineup. You got, it makes you realise that he will still be under pressure to keep delivering. But at the moment, when he gets the opportunity, he does.
Yes, absolutely. He's looked good today, has Dawid Malan, opening the batting. It might not be his sort of, optimum position in the batting lineup, but just showing a little bit of versatility here. Remember that World T20 is now confirmed to happen in the Middle East rather than in India, and not always the friendliest batting conditions over there. So having an experienced player with that versatility to his name, never a bad thing. Now then, Fernando is back into the attack. He comes in, starts with a short one, which Malan just hits into the ground, can't quite time it, and it's a dot ball for Sri Lanka. Binura Fernando, this is his second spell. He went for 11 in his first 2 overs. Not yesterday, the previous game in Cardiff. He bowled really well, 3 overs, 1 for 17, and just looked threatening all the way through it, particularly early doors against the England openers.
Yeah, got some swing with the new ball. Delivers from a decent height as well, stays quite tall in the action. It was a really nice partnership actually when him and Chameera were bowling in tandem and bowling on point.
Yeah.
So I feel that this is Sri Lanka's best strength at the moment is...
Yeah. Binura Fernando in once again, full toss that time and smashed by Malan again with very little timing to the mid-wicket region. And you can sense that frustration just bubbling inside Malan. It's a strange thing to say of a player who's scored 52 off 33 deliveries, but he's still struggling to sort of time the ball. England 115 for 1.
And sometimes that can be in the back of your mind. You know how important this innings is, right? And you may be going a little bit too hard, not quite getting the timing right, and a little bit of frustration kicks in. But yeah, I was just saying about Sri Lanka, it's hard when you're a transitioning team trying to find form. But there are some players in here that you think there's a unit that can be built around for Mickey Arthur, when it's Chameera and Fernando at the top, whether it's Hasaranga coming in with the spin in the middle. There are a core of players.
Fernando in now, and that's a beautiful scoop shot from Liam Livingstone directly behind the wicketkeeper, and trickles away into the fence right below us here in the media centre here at the Ageas Bowl. The crowd enjoyed that one. The flames are being shot up here at the Ageas Bowl. Always kind of terrify me. I don't know about you, but always kind of scare me a little bit. What a score this is going to be from England. 119 for 1 after 13.3. There's
absolutely nothing you can do about that. He knew the ball was going to be full, and Liam Livingstone has just out of nowhere created that 4. It's beautiful to watch.
It's hockey-esque, wasn't it? In comes Fernando, full toss this time, and smashed high and up in the air. A couple of bounces towards the fielder and deep in the leg side. And it went so well to him, they couldn't take more than a single. He really got hold of that one, Malan, but it's a huge boundary square of the wicket either side. It takes some clearing. I suppose with a full toss kind of coming onto you from a height, it's harder to kind of... you got to create all the power, don't you?
Yeah, massively. Just having a think here.
Fernando coming in again at the top of his run. England 120 for 1. Malan on strike. He's got 52. Fernando in short outside the off stump, and Malan pulls into the mid-wicket area. One bounce towards the fielder. There's a Dushmantha out there, and they take a single. 1-2, 1 for 1.
It's a hard wicket to, unless the ball is there, create power from. So that one there, he took a bit of pace off it, and Malan tried to, bully it, and it just didn't quite come onto the bat enough. So with this big outfield, actually, England are doing a really good job at the moment, finding a way to get this score healthily up. Run rates are just kind of under 9 now.
They've taken their 2s really well at this ground. This big old ground, the Ageas Bowl. It's Fernando in once again, short again, this time pulled by Livingstone into the leg side area, and it will reach the boundary. to the left of that square leg fielder. 4 runs for Livingstone, 125 for 1 after 14 overs.
What a wrist on that shot. That was not one that you'd expect actually to be picked up and whipped down to the leg side, but he kind of just uses his wrist at thinking KP had great wrist, Kevin Peterson, and just had a bit of flourish there.
Yeah, very good. Very, very good stroke, very impressive stroke that from Liam Livingstone. A lot of power in it as well. It was the power that got me. And it was kind of wristy, but with power. Maybe forearms.
Do you think it's forearms? Is it wrist? Is it everything? Well, it's everything.
Yeah, I'm just splitting the difference because, like, you know, between the bicep and the wrist.
Maybe it's the bicep.
Yeah. Well, we can discuss that anatomy. You're always about the human body, aren't you? So either fingers or toes and arms.
Yeah. Well, I've learned now, as of the last commentary stint, what the name of all the 5 fingers are.
Outstanding. I won't quiz you on it. I'm going to take your word for it.
Just take my word for it.
I will. Yeah. Hasaranga is back for his 3rd over. He's gone for 24 so far.
Ooh.
It's a short one from him first up, and David Malan has hammered that ball into the stands on the leg side for a huge 6. That's the biggest one of the day so far. Malan got a hold of it properly. Hasaranga with his hands in his hair. Well, 131 for 1 now, England. What a shot, Ebbs. He got a hold of it.
Well, it was a shocker of a delivery, if I'm honest, from Hasaranga. I mean, he's not someone who gets the ball up and above your eye line and dip. He kind of just, he's quite a low, skinny bowler. And because that just kind of floated out, if I'm being honest, Malan had like 10 days to seat the ball and place it anywhere he wanted. Absolutely nailed that.
That might be the worst ball that Hasaranga's bowled in this entire series. He's been so economical, Fernando Hasaranga. Like in his first game, his return was 0 for 12 after 4 overs. The second game, it was 2 for 20 in 4 overs. So by far the pick of the Sri Lankan bowlers, really. But today, he's gone for 30 in 2.1 so far. He's having a day to forget.
Yeah, I think he just looks like he's lost rhythm, and maybe it's the nature of the back-to-back games as well, and 3 games quite quick succession. We've already heard, from Owen Morgan about the need to possibly rotate and rest. Well, because he's a key player, you can't actually afford to do that, and he just looks a little bit, I don't know, tired or weary today. He hasn't had that flow through his action that he's had in the last 2 games.
Yeah, there's something about it today, but it's quite unusually. We've seen one of the Sri Lankan players go into the stands to retrieve the ball and then dribble it with his feet to the umpire so he can wipe it down with the sanitizer, the antibacterial wipe, whatever it was. So we've got a nice clean ball now as in comes Hasaranga. That ball, Malan's attempted to put in the same place. He didn't quite get a hold of it, but he will get 2 for it, maybe even 3, because there's been some very poor relay fielding out in the deep and the leg side. Will they try and run 4? No, they're going to take 3. It shouldn't have been more than 2 there. It's Chameera out there, got to the ball and just flicked it just wide of the fielder that attempted to help him in that bit of relay fielding. Not his best work there, Chameera.
Not great.
Now, 134 for 1 now, England, after 14.2 overs. That 200 will still very much be in their sights. With 9 wickets in hand, Livingstone on 12 off 7. David Malan 62 off 36. Well, how far can they take this? Hasaranga in once again. Malan shapes up outside the off stump to cart that away in the end. Checks his shot, plays it into the mid-wicket region for a single.
Enjoying the flair of Livingstone. Even a single just there in the bottom hand comes in at the late into the shot and just works it into that leg side.
Looks very busy at the crease, doesn't he, Livingstone?
Good energy. Again, an opportunity for him to shine, show a different style of game to the last game where he knuckled down and got side home.
Hasaranga in once again. More flight given this time. Smashed high up in the air. Does it have the distance from Malan? You bet it does. Over the mid-wicket boundary. Comfortably for another 6. And David Malan is putting his foot on the accelerator. 68 for him now. England 141 for 1.
That was technically so good to watch. He didn't slog sweep in terms of dragging it over cow corner as such. That was much more of an over mid-on. The bat flow through the line was just perfection.
Very correct shot, wasn't it? It wasn't a slog over cow corner. It was a lofted drive. As in comes Hasaranga. Down the track comes Malan, attempting a similar shot. Played airily towards that long on fielder again. They'll take just the single this time. Malan on to 69 now of 38 deliveries. Livingstone on strike. He's got 13 off 8. England 142 for 1 with 1 ball to come in the 15th over. This is going to be a big 5 overs, you imagine. We've still got some big hitters to come. Morgan, Moeen. Gosh, they're probably licking their lips at the prospect of coming in here as Hasaranga in with another flighted delivery, this time driven up to long on for a single by Liam Livingstone. To end an expensive over for Hasaranga, an expensive day for him, really. He's gone for 42 from his 3 so far. England, 143 for 1 after 15 overs. Ebony Rainford, Brent, I want you to tell me exactly how many runs you think England are going to finish on to the nearest one. Think about it, and in a minute you're going to be joined by Charles Dagnall.
Good question. 5 overs. You'd think they're going at comfortably 10s, maybe even 12s are possible. I'd like to see them in and around that 200 mark, and who knows, if these two have a good moment or two, they could just pip that. But looking on for 200.
Yeah, you're right. Only 57 away, and I say only 57 in 5 overs, but that is well within their grasp, considering what is still to come for England. Eoin Morgan is watching on, no doubt very, very pleased with the scenario, or as his face would never really give it away. Rather emotionless when he watches, very calm, in control captain. Now, Fernando is back on. 22 runs conceded from his 3 overs so far. From the pavilion end, left arm seamer comes towards us, and Livingstone just chips this to extra cover and is out. It was a low full toss. He got a left leg out of the way. It was more of a leg stump line. He tried to hit into out over extra, and it just hit the bottom of the bat and looped up gratefully to extra. And it is the end of what was a promising looking innings from Liam Livingstone. He goes for 14 off 10 deliveries, and England 143 for 2.
Almost that flourish of the bottom hand got him in trouble. We kept talking about how good it is. Just ended up trying to do too much and squirted it out into extra cover region. But looked promising. An opportunity for him to have added to his case from the last game.
Absolutely. It is obviously with the England batting lineup, so many open, because you wanted domestic cricket, your best players to face as many balls as they possibly can. So Livingstone opens, and Bairstow opens, and Butler and Roy all open. Everybody pretty much controls that top of the order. So in a certain aspect, he's not used to coming in 3. He's not used to waiting to have it, or having his pads on for 10, 12 overs or so.
Just thinking, Eoin Morgan's letting them have a bit more opportunity here, isn't he? I think he was down to come in a little bit earlier, and now it's Sam Billings to the crease.
Yeah.
So good move for him to have a look at some of these players.
I think he's fairly content that he's got a spot for the World T20, hasn't he?
I think he knows he's in.
I'm all right. Sometimes I was actually just speaking to Adam Manford, our producer, about it before. Had Jos Buttler not been injured, Eoin Morgan hasn't been afraid to drop himself and allow other people that once a series is done, or maybe to just take a look, and that's how confident you can be as he is in the position that he holds. Well, it's Billings on strike now as Fernando comes towards him, and it's a Yorker attempted. He digs it out well, does Billings. A lot of bottom hand in that, getting the ball out to deep mid-wicket, and a single is taken. 144 for 2. 2 balls into the 16th over, and the field changes round for the left-handed Dawid Malan, who's 69 not out off 38 deliveries. Speaking of things changing around, Ebony Rainford Brent has left us. Jimmy Anderson comes back in alongside me. And if there were any doubts about the position of Dawid Malan, he's allaying them now.
He is.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. Playing outstandingly well, isn't he?
Yeah. Took a little while for him to get off, but he's certainly picked up. As a short, slower ball is bowled, and he swats this away in front of his face out towards deep backward square, and another single is taken. England 145 for 2. Isn't it funny though how stories do emerge, and he's probably sat there thinking, well, I'm number 1 or number 2 in the world. Why is this being written? Or is it? I just wonder, when these things do come out or are written about, what must go through the mind of a player? I'm sure you've experienced that, I'm sure, in your time as Fernando bowls, and this is walloped away by Sam Billings, getting his feet out of the way of a full-length delivery out to deep mid-wicket. It goes, another single, 146 for 2.
Yeah, but honestly, you'd be surprised how much players hear about and don't hear about. You try and block yourself away from it as much as possible, or some players do. Some players like reading it and find it cathartic or whatever, reading that sort of stuff. But I try and stay away from it as much as possible. So just not checking social media or not reading articles and things like that.
Fernando over the wicket to the left-handed Malan, gets a good Yorker, dug out, and it trickles back up to the bowler in his follow-through, and there is no run. 146 for 2. So like, when you took your 600th, did you read the papers after it?
No.
Did you not? What about when you were younger? What about
when I first started, I read everything and was confused as to why good stuff was getting written at first, and then one bad performance and a bad bowler all of a sudden.
Towards us comes Fernando as a low full toss is guided out through the offside by Malan. They sprint the first one, but such was the timing, it got out to Hasaranga very swiftly, and only a single is taken. So the end of a good over from Fernando. He's bowled nicely, actually. 4 overs, 1 for 26. England 147 for 2. Malan is there 71 from 41, and Billings 2 from 2.
The thing about it is, I think this is what you learn as you go on. There's enough pressure on you as it is. You put enough pressure on yourself to perform as well as you can, and you sort of set those standards for yourself, I think, and you don't need that extra pressure. So why? And I think you can slip into a trap, or the trap of when you do well, start reading everything and start building up your ego and whatever. But I think, again, if you've performed well, you know you've performed well. And if I've performed badly, I know I've performed badly. I don't need people who've never played the game telling me that.
Now, Dushmantha Chameera picks up the attack from our end, the hotel end, or the northern end. Only conceded 11 from his 2 overs in the power play. Bowled nicely. I'm a big fan of Chameera. He's a very, very good bowler. Wiry frame, tall, but can bowl just shy of 90 miles an hour. Hits the bat hard. Very straight run up as he kicks his heels, runs away from us, and slings the ball down in towards the pads of Malan, who might just get a thinnish inside edge onto pad, which trickles out. No, it's just pad. And it trickles out to square leg. Signalled by umpire Saggers, former Kent and England bowler, 148 for 2.
Yeah, I get the feeling Chameera will bowl a good Yorker because of that slingy action that he's got. He might be able to just lower his arm a little bit and fire in the leg stump Yorker.
So rather than being bolt upright at 12 o'clock, his arm would sort of just drop to what, sort of 2 o'clock type?
Yeah, not a huge amount, just enough. And I think you look at the best Yorker bowlers, or in my mind, when I think about a good Yorker bowler, they just used to drop their arm a little bit. Darren Gough springs to mind, Wakar Younis, just dropping their shoulder a little bit.
Chameera, number 5 on his back, runs away from us, and this is in the slot. It's been hacked away by Billings, high in the air, deep mid-wicket. Underneath it, Shanaka takes a very good catch. Judged it well because that was in the air for a very long time over at deep mid-wicket. Really bottom-handy type of shot from Sam Billings. It was a hack, really, and he just didn't quite get it out of the middle, and it found the grateful hands of Shanaka in the deep, and Chameera has a wicket. England 148 for 3.
Really well bowled that. We were talking about how he's got good pace, might be able to sling in a good Yorker, but that one was a leg cutter, sort of slow ball, came out sort of early 70s miles an hour. Just did enough off the pitch, stopped in the pitch enough to just make Sam Billings cloth that. Couldn't get the timing right, gets the top edge, and a good catch in the end. It went very, very high.
Yeah.
So really good catch.
Well judged. Because the sky now, the blanket of grey light cloud has just slowly slipped away over the top of the hotel, and we've got lovely blue and wispy white cloud over in the distance towards the Telegraph Woods. So Billings goes for 2 off 3, and out comes the England captain, Eoin Morgan. Quick discussion with Dawid Malan, and Morgan, 105 matches, averaging 30 and a strike rate of 138 as well. So very fine record for the England captain. Tell you about Yorker bowlers, one that springs to mind as well. Craig White.
Yeah
he used to lower that arm as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
He could slip it through at around about 90 on his day if he wanted to. Now Chameera around the wicket to Malan, who The batsman crossed whilst the ball was in the air, and he gets a full delivery, and that Yorker that James Anderson was talking about was bowled nicely there. Just enough bat to get it out into the deep. A single is taken. It brings Morgan onto strike. 149 for 3. The sun making an appearance. Very pleasant it is too. The shadows just emanating from the boots of the Sri Lankan fielders. A lovely feel of Saturday afternoon T20 cricket. Crowd in here at the GS Bowl. A gull just swoops in front of our enormous window in the hotel room that we broadcast from, and a check drive just over the top of extra cover from Morgan. Stopped on his shot again. It might have been that Chameera slower ball, and it brings up England's 150. Morgan is off the mark. He's one not out, but England 150 for 3 in this, the 17th over.
Yeah, really well bowled again. Follows up a 90-mile-an-hour Yorker with a leg cutter slower ball. So he's just dragging his fingers down the left-hand side of the ball, taking all the pace off it.
Yeah, just above the fielder. Completely Fox Morgan. Good one to bowl first up as well. Chameera around the wicket to Malan, slings it down. And it's driven out towards long on for a single to Malan. And slightly misfielded at the bowler's end, but no damage done. 151 for 3. And Morgan back on strike in the sunshine. One or two people milling around the concourse. The food outlets not doing a huge... I don't know what the rules are. This have to go at certain times or whatever. I'm not quite sure, but not a great deal of business being done because people glued to the cricket, as we are here in the commentary boxes. Chameera runs away from us, and this is down the leg side, flicked away. Is it down the throat of the fielder? Yes, it is, and he just manages to keep his balance. Danushka Gunathilaka takes a very neat catch on the boundary edge at deep backward square, and it brings to an end Morgan's brief stay at the crease. He's gone for 1, and England not in trouble, but a little stumble. 151 for 4.
Yeah, it was a good catch. Gone for the Yorker. Didn't quite get it right, actually. It was a ball that Eoin Morgan would expect to probably put away if he'd have faced a few more balls than he has, but only his second ball of his innings. He's gone to clear the ropes and just got the man on the edge, and it was a well-judged catch in the end. Didn't quite know where the rope was. Did well just to stay inside.
Yeah, he took an absolute blinder in the first T20 at Cardiff, diving away to his left like a goalkeeper, like a Sabutio goalkeeper he was. Remember that. Moeen Ali, the people's champion, coming out to bat to a very warm round of applause. He's in at 6, back in this England side. Bright orange boots underneath the blue pads. So still left-hander at the crease. Demise of Morgan, replaced by another left-hander, Moeen Ali, who has been captaining Worcestershire in the T20 Blast. And Dasun Shanaka coming on to bowl from the pavilion end with his little medium paces. Runs in. His first delivery is short on the hip of Moeen Ali. Tickles it away through the onside and off the mark immediately. Into the 18th over we go. 151 for 4. Interesting bowling change. Not expressed by any stretch. Probably I've not seen the speed gun, but he looks to me a sort of mid-70s type of bowler.
Just a bit of everything, isn't it? He probably bowls towards 80, but he bowls a lot of variations, a lot of cutters and slow balls.
First over in the 18th as just rolls his fingers over the side of that one little sort of off cutter from the right arm seamer. Gets a single, does Malan. Worked into the leg side. 153 for 4. Interesting, there's 2 different scores on the scoreboard on our right hand side. The one on the left says 151. The one on the main screen says 153. It is 153. Field for Moeen. Deep backward square, deep mid-wicket, long on, long off, and a deep cover point. Third man up inside the circle has his fine leg. There's a backward point and an extra cover. Shanaka in. Another slower ball down the leg side. Doesn't connect as Moeen, but it's going to be signalled wide by umpire Wharf, nonetheless. Another one goes on to the England total. 154 for 4. You can get a steak, you can get Chinese food over there, fish and chips. Lovely options on the food course, on the concourse. Shanaka towards us, close to the stumps, a short delivery and slightly quicker, and it just goes through Moeen Ali. Maybe a little bit more speedily, 83 miles an hour than he first thought, through to Niroshan Dickwella. 3 runs conceded from his first 3 deliveries. It's been a good little comeback period for Sri Lanka, this, James.
Yeah. No better way to slow the run rate down than taking wickets, which is what they've done.
Lost Livingstone at 143, Billings at 148, Morgan at 151. Here's Shanaka again, and this is 4 runs. Short delivery and an uppercut from Moeen Ali. He did well to reach it, and it just goes over the head of the 2 fielders inside the circle behind square on the offside, and away to the boundary at races. 13th for England, 158 for 4.
Well, yeah, the previous ball was a bouncer, and Moeen tried to pull it and was a little bit late on it, missed it, and then just after that he started practicing the uppercut, as if to say if he gets it again he's going to go that way, and that's exactly what he did. He took it over backward point, got enough bat on it to go for 4.
Very relaxed nature at the creases, Moeen Ali, as this has been walloped through the offside, and he's very unfortunate that he's found the lone fielder inside the circle at extra cover, because goodness me, he gave that the beans.
I'd rather he didn't say walloped with one of Moeen Ali's shots. That wasn't a wallop, that was a lovely cover drive. He just hit it very well.
He did. Let's split the difference. Here's Shanaka, a slower ball, and that's been heaved into the leg side by Moeen Ali, elegantly heaved through mid-wicket for a couple of runs. And at the end of Shanaka's over, conceded 9, 160 for 4 with 2 overs remaining. No, I agree with you. Not much of what Moeen Ali does is inelegant. He really did wallop it, though. 160 for 4, 2 overs remain. Here on 5 Live Sports Extra. Don't forget anything you may have missed, those 3 quick wickets. You can watch them in play highlights on the BBC Sport website and via the BBC Sport app. And there are highlights with you on it. James Anderson, BBC 2, 7 o'clock. So if you need your Anderson fix, that's where to get it. After Casablanca in the afternoon. Play it again, Jim, as Chameera bowls. This is the penultimate over, gets flicked from a full delivery through the onside by Malan, out towards deep square it went, 162 for 4, and Malan moves to 76 from 46. What an afternoon that is. Casablanca. Humphrey Bogart, isn't it? Yeah, there you go. And then you get to superstardom with Anderson at 7 o'clock.
Ah, dear.
Chameera strides away from us, past umpire Saggers, round the wicket, a little paddle attempted by Dawid Malan. It's almost like he started it a little bit too early, and Chameera saw him coming, bowled the slower ball at 74 miles an hour and got himself in a bit of a tangle, did Malan. Didn't connect, and through to Dickwella it goes.
Yeah, I can't remember seeing Malan play that shot too much, the dab sweep or the ramp shot. He's been playing some really good strong shots all round the ground, and even when the ball's not quite there to hit for 4 or 6, he's been hitting the gap really well as well.
Chameera, tall, and this has been launched down the ground, could get caught here. Shanaka's under it and takes the catch at long off, made room for himself outside of the leg stump, opened the left leg up, and Chameera just threw the ball a little wider, and Malan was always reaching for it. That's why the connection wasn't clean, and it went high in the air. But Shanaka with a safe pair of hands, and Chameera's come back really well, and well, Sri Lanka have as well. And it's the end of an excellent knock from Dawid Malan, proving those who were doubting him wrong. He's gone for 76 of 48 deliveries. England 162 for 5.
Yeah, Chameera has been by far and away the pick of the bowlers. Bowled brilliantly, and he's just got that ability to know when to bowl the Yorker, when to bowl the slow ball, and he just picked the right moments. And that, it's not just bowling a slow ball, it's bowling it in the right place. And they're just, as you said, a touch wider, making Malan reach for it, ends up getting the toe of the bat.
Really has bowled well, impressively today, and Chameera with that little encouragement as well early as the ball was carrying through. He's chopped and changed his pace well. Moeen Ali is on strike and a Yorker is bowled, and it's a brilliant one from Chameera. Right on the chalk marks, dug out by Moeen Ali. The batsman crossed whilst the ball was in the air on Malan's dismissal, and it goes back to the bowler. Sam Curran is the new man at the crease, is at the non-striker's end. Another left-hander. Stretching whilst he waits for his opportunity to get bat on ball. 162 for 5. 8 balls remain in the England innings, and this has been launched high by Moeen Ali. Another catch is possible here. Hasaranga with the safe hands out at deep mid-wicket, and Chameera has his 4th. This has been such a good spell from Sri Lanka's fast bowler. Slightly shorter. Moeen Ali was through it too quickly and couldn't get the distance required to get it over the boundary. And England falling apart towards the back end of this innings. 162 for 5 they are.
Yeah, some brilliant bowling from Chameera, but England will be disappointed with this. They're in a great position to try and get up to 200 at one point.
My apologies, 162 for 6 as Moeen Ali departs for 7. And Chameera has his 4th wicket. So Chris Jordan comes out to join Sam Curran, neither who have faced the ball yet, and with England having 7 balls remaining, you're right that 200 was looking sort of odds on, really, at one stage. How well Sri Lanka have done to drag it back.
Yeah, they've clawed their way back really well. Chameera has been the star of the show. He's this slow ball, sort of, it's like a leg cutter, but a little bit out the back of the hand as well, so he can get a bit of top spin on it, which is certainly why Moeen Ali got a top edge last ball.
Can he get 5 for his last delivery? Bowls, it's wide outside of the off stump, driven by Curran. Quick single taken, thinking about shying at the non-strikers, and no one was there to back up, and so the throw was held, and a single to finish the over. But well bowled, Dushmantha Chameera. Fabulous spell of 4 overs for him. 4 for 17, 11 dot balls in those 4 overs, and he thoroughly deserves this warm round of applause from the Hampshire crowd. England losing 5 for 19 in 23 balls. Well bowled, Dushmantha Chameera. Good afternoon for him. So, 163 for 6. 6 balls remain. Curran is back on strike. Isuru Udana is going to bowl the last over for Sri Lanka from the Rob Bransgrove Pavilion end in the sunshine. Sri Lanka will be buoyed by the performance that they've put on in these final 5 overs. Curran on strike, 4 in the offside ring, 4 on the leg side boundary. As Udana, the left armour, to the left-handed Curran, gets a low full toss, walloped into the onside. Is it taken? No! It's just evaded the attempt by the deep mid-wicket fielder coming in from the boundary, and in so doing it creeps under his hands and trickles away to the boundary for 4. It's one of those, do I go for the catch? Do I try and save the boundary? This time it was the wrong option, and Curran picks up 4 in England, 167 for 6.
Yeah, that's the difference between someone having a good day and a bad day. Chameera, everything he bowled went to hand, and today everything that Udana has bowled has just either hit a gap or there. He was in 2 minds, the fielder, whether to come and get it or not, and he's ended up missing it completely.
5 balls to go. Udana bowls a slow ball. It's been hacked away by Sam Curran into space. Yes, just between long on and deep mid wicket. And they're thinking about second confusion here. Jordan wants to go, Curran doesn't. They managed to find their respective ends. 2 runs picked up by England, 169 for 6. Curran moves to 7 not out. Bit of communication breakdown between long on and deep mid wicket. Ball was in the air for a long period of time. But Curran is safe. No change in the field. The only fielder on the offside boundary is at deep point. Curran adjusts his pads, is ready to go again. Jordan, the non-strikers end. Udana towards us, just an ambling in type of run, and this is pulled away by Sam Curran out towards the deep. It's going to bounce just before Shanaka running around from deep backwards square, and England will pick up another couple of runs. 171 for 6. Sam Curran on to 9 not out. This has been a much more productive over for England than for Sam Curran. 8 of them so far. A 4 and a couple of 2s. People just starting to make their way out of their seats, creeping towards the food outlets. And the Aegeus Bowl is bathed in glorious sunshine. Lovely day. Saturday afternoon. Udana. Past umpire Wharf. He comes in over the wicket. Full length delivery. Curran tries to flick it away. Doesn't manage to connect. It wraps him on the pad. And bowler Fields in his follow through. A leg by taken. 172 for 6. Now brings Chris Jordan on to strike, who's yet to face a ball, watching it all happen from the bat of Sam Curran at the non-striker's end. Field changes for the right-hander. Interested to see where Sri Lanka are going here. Now they're protecting predominantly the offside boundary. The left arm over bowler. There is third man's up inside the circle. There is a deep, almost a boundary gully, if you like. That's the line. Wide third man, if you like. A deep point, long off, long on, deep mid-wicket. Interesting field for Jordan, who waits with his bat upright for Udana. It's a low full toss, driven hard for 4. Wonderful shot from Chris Jordan, just a little bit of width offered by Udana. Maybe the change from left to right hand has foxed him somewhat. Jordan gratefully picks up his first runs off the first ball faced, and has gone through extra cover for 4. England 176 for 6. Just a word on Dushmantha Chameera. 4 for 17, his best T20 figures and the 8th best by a Sri Lankan in T20 cricket. Best at this ground since Paul Collingwood's 4 for 22 against Sri Lanka, as the last ball is bowled of the innings, and Jordan carves it away through the offside, and it's 4 more runs. What a lovely cameo for England and Chris Jordan. 2 balls faced, 8 runs scored, and that's a very good final over for England. They finish on 180 for 6 in their 20 overs. Chris Jordan ending on 8 from 2 balls. Sam Curran 9 from 5, but 3 4s, a couple of 2s, and a leg by to finish that England innings. They'll go into the dressing room quite happy and content at 180 for 6. Arguably, they would think that 200 was on the cards, considering where they were at one stage, but that little burst of dismissals in the middle is just slowed the rate somewhat. I think they'll be happy with 180. The fact is that Sri Lanka have got to get 181 runs to win, and so far in this T20 series their form with the bat hasn't been great. They've only scored 240 runs in the 240 balls that they have faced. So let me just quickly run through the scorecard. Jonny Bairstow, first to go. He was out for 51, bowled by Tilkarratne, and then Dawid Malan caught Shanaka, bowled Chameera for 76. Liam Livingstone caught Shanaka for off the bowling of Fernando for 14. Sam Billings caught Shanaka, bowled Chameera for 2. Eoin Morgan caught Gunathilaka, bowled Chameera for 1. Moeen Ali caught De Silva, bowled Chameera for 7. And Sam Curran was 9 not out. Chris Jordan 8 not out. 9 wides, 3 leg byes, and the bowling figures. Chameera the pick. 4 for 17 off his 4 overs. Fernando 1 for 26. Udana 1 for 55. Sandakan 0 for 28 off his 4 overs. And Shanaka just the 1 over, 0 for 9. Well, let's get a little reaction from the former Sri Lankan all-rounder Russell Arnold, who is watching back at home, and there was positives and negatives, I think, to take from that, Russell. Let's start with the positives and the bowling of Dushmantha Chameera. We mentioned this when we spoke in the first T20, and I'm a huge fan of his, and he's really shown his class today.
He certainly has, because he's shown that he's got variations. We only spoke about his pace, the way he's getting it through. He's bowling it with a lot of control. The lines and lengths have been so good. But today what stood out was he's got variations, those slow balls. I think a couple of different ones with a lot of classy batsmen. Now you can't forget how good this English batting order is, and they were deceived. And they were in a good position when he was able to bowl those under pressure, which speaks volumes for what this young man can do. And it's very, very exciting for Sri Lankans. Hopefully this performance gives that little bit of oomph, or extra energy and belief that Sri Lanka need to chase this score down. Charles, I just want to go back to a stat that you mentioned earlier. Whenever Sri Lanka have fielded first, they've conceded about 200 runs. So 180 is also a big improvement. This is going back to about 15 games.
And that's the thing about Sri Lanka. We mentioned about, at one stage, England were looked absolutely nailed on for 200. But these little mini victories, when you're a side in transition, when you're trying to formulate the best side that you can for T20 cricket, these little periods are what you actually take away. And the way that they managed to actually, instead of just lay down and allow England to go and get 200, to actually fight and really work hard to get to the 180 or to make them get to the 180 that they did.
Yes, and all Sri Lanka need is these things to give them confidence, as I mentioned. The difference for me in this 180 leaves them in the game. They bat well, they need to bat well still, but 180 is within a chasing team's sights. But the difference is the battle between Malan and Hasaranga. Hasaranga generally doesn't go for many, picks up a wicket, but went for 42 in his 3. And Malan scored 34 off 10. So it's Malan's innings is totally built on what he did to Hasaranga. And if that was okay for Sri Lanka's point of view, maybe a little bit more there, the score could have been 160-165, which puts Sri Lanka in a very good position. So I'll look a little deeper for those positives and really give these boys a pat on their back.
Just one thing about Kusal Perera's captaincy. How do you think he's done over his first three games with his bowling changes, his field placings?
Pretty impressive. Because it's hard with what's been going on around him in terms of the results, and his senior players also not coming up with those performances, but he's stuck at it. He doesn't have a lot of experience as a captain, and he's generally on the quieter side. So I'm quite happy with what I'm seeing from him.
Yeah, allowing to grow into the job. All right, Russell, we'll speak to you at the conclusion of the game, and I'm sure your mood will dictate how Sri Lanka have done in that chase. Thanks so much for joining us, Russell Arnold, former Sri Lanka all-rounder and broadcaster, who is joining us from his home. Well, it's around about 5 or 6 minutes before we restart, and there's other cricket action today, with games in both the Vitality T20 Blast and the new domestic women's T20 competition, the Charlotte Edwards Cup. Henry Moran has got all of the scores and can keep us up to date.
Hello there, Daggers. Yes, so the T20 Blast. First of all, Nottinghamshire taking on Lancashire. And Lancashire winning the toss, choosing to field first. 142 for 5 is the not score midway through the 18th over. Alex Hales is 85 not out, which just throws another question into the mix about England's possible selections. I know that conversation's been had a lot, but is he scoring runs in T20 cricket? That talk will continue. Steve Mullaney at the other end is on 11, so that's the latest in that game. Elsewhere, Durham are taking on the Birmingham Bears, and the target for Birmingham is 165. Ben Stokes playing for Durham, and he hit 16 off and over from Carlos Brathwaite.
Did he?
A couple of sixes. As the old saying goes, revenge is a dish best served on a live stream in a domestic T20. So 165 is the target for the Birmingham Bears. 18 for 2 early on in the 4th over. Pollock and Hose both out already, but plenty of batting to come, including Carlos Brathwaite. So it could be Stokes v Brathwaite once again. As you mentioned, it is the Charlotte Edwards Cup that was announced this week, the domestic cup for domestic teams in the women's competition, and that gets underway today. The Western Storm are playing the Sunrisers. Target for the Sunrisers is 130. The Storm having scored 129 for 6, and 21 without loss in the 4th over seems a decent platform. Top scoring in that first innings, Natasha Wraith with 36 not out. Elsewhere, we have our very own Alex Hartley in action. She's playing for the She's playing for the Northwest Thunder against the Northern Diamonds, and the target for the Diamonds is 119. The Thunder making 118 for 6 from their 20 overs in that game. Top scoring Emma Lamb with 58. She's had a really excellent season domestically. And elsewhere, a victory for the South East Stars against the Loughborough Lightning. They chased down 108 as a target inside of 14 overs, getting the job done pretty easily with Phoebe Franklin and Susie Rowe there not out at the end.
We're just watching the England bowlers loosen up on one of the used pitches at the Aegeus Bowl, just to our left-hand side as we look out over this glorious day that we're having at the moment. And whilst you're here, Henry Moran, you'll be commentating on the women's ODI tomorrow in Bristol. It's the first ODI of 3, part of the multi-format points system, which currently stands at 2-2. It was a great test match.
Yeah. It
really was. We were both there. And the tension and the drama, all was fielders round the bat with the Sophie Eccleston, and it had absolutely everything. What can we now expect when it turns to white ball cricket?
I think we've seen enough in the test match to know that there's two really good, well-matched teams against each other. Shafali Verma is the player that we're all talking about, that we want to see. 17 years old, opens the batting, and nearly scored the most remarkable 100. A couple of 50s in the game. She was out for 96 in the first innings, and plays in one way, and that is, if the ball is there, it is going the distance. She hits the ball a long way. She plays with such style, and no question, she's going to be a star of the game for many years to come. So that's the one to look out for, if you like, in the India side, alongside Smriti Mandana and Mitali Raj, Julan Goswami. So plenty of talent in that India side. For England, well, we know all about what we've got with Heather Knight in excellent form, Amy Jones similarly in domestic competition. But we have got word in the last couple of hours that Sophia Dunkley is going to make her ODI debut. Made a test debut, and she will be playing, is what we've learnt, in the ODI game as well.
And how impressive she looked in that test debut. I mean, taking it like a duck to water, or a dunk to water.
So nearly so good.
So it was really, really good, and I just stuffed it up at the last moment. But never mind. Let's just ignore that. We'll edit that out, because we're not live, are we? So she took it like a dunk to water. Oh, there you go. But she did. She looked fantastic.
She did. 74 not out she made in the one innings that England batted, and she was excellent. And I think that really exciting for England to be able to look and see somebody that they have clearly been able to profit from the infrastructure that's been in place in the last 5 years or so. So things like the Kia Super League, growing into the Rachel Hayhoe-Flint competition, now the Charlotte Edwards Cup. Sophia Dunkley is one of those players that has benefited from that professionalism hugely, playing for Surrey and now the South East Stars. And she is somebody England clearly like a lot. She's got lots of cricket experience now. She's getting the opportunity in international cricket, and I'm really pleased.
Are we a little surprised not to see Danny Wyatt in this England side?
Yeah, certainly. Wasn't in the Test squad, not in the ODI squad. Questions as to why that is. Apparently it's form, and that's the issue. She plays for the Southern Vipers in domestic cricket, and she's been left out of the England squad. You'd expect her to be part of the T20s, but that is more her format than ODI cricket, perhaps. But certainly a mainstay from the last 12 years of the England side, Danny Wyatt, and now and finds herself on the periphery in the ODI and Test series.
Isn't it amazing? We talk about the domestic structure and how strong it's become, and now organised in the women's game, that now there is so much competition for places, which is exactly what Lisa Keightley, the England head coach, wanted. And you can now take people who are in a touch of form from it, and it was a more difficult club to get out of, the England side, at one stage than it was to get in, and now that's exactly what they wanted in reverse.
Exactly, and now we've got this situation where such is the vast amount of talent that is available and out there, that these professional contracts have given the chance for those players to really step up, and the level of quality we've seen across the competitions domestically and how it's grown in the last few years. England have always looked enviously at Australia. Now they're catching up domestically, and you'd think that one will lead to a greater impact for the England national side, as we've seen with the Australian national side and what they've done.
Great stuff. Thank you, Henry Moran. With you tomorrow on commentary on 5 Live Sports Extra from 10:45 for that England women versus India women one-day international from Bristol. There will be in-play video clips and highlights on the BBC iPlayer. So the task for Sri Lanka is to knock off 181 to win. England are out there and ready to get going. The ball is in David Willey's hands, as are the Sri Lankan openers. And so hopefully in the sunshine we'll get a competitive third Vitality International T20. And Atif Nawaz is going to take you through it.
Thank you so much, Daggers. Sri Lanka getting ready to face up, start things off. In comes Willey's first ball's been driven beautifully through extra cover. It's racing away for 4. Well, that's the perfect start for Sri Lanka. A 4 to kick things off. 4 for no loss after 1 ball. And well, that's one way to start your innings. Gunathilaka straight into his work. Slightly over pitch delivery, has to be said, from David Willey, so he could just sort of lean into it and put it away quite comfortably. But that's exactly what you want first ball when you're chasing 180. And, very pleased to have Jimmy Anderson alongside me as we catch up on this Sri Lankan reply. 2 slips in place for Willey as he comes in and bowls back of a length. This time the ball takes an outside edge. It's been ricocheted and taken at first slip. I think it came off the second slip to the first slip, but it's been taken in the end. And well, 4 and out is the way for Gunathilaka. He's gone on the second ball of the Sri Lankan innings. 4 for 1 after 2 balls. And Jimmy Anderson, all action cricket this.
Yeah, well, the first ball, David Willey's looked for a bit of swing and gone quite full. That ball is just banged in a little bit shorter. It's an absolute fluke of a catch at second slip. So he catches the sort of shoulder of the bat, flies through. David Malan sort of gets his right hand on it, drops it into his left hand, and then eventually gets it in his wrist, I think. So not the most convincing catch, but it's out, and David Willey will be happy with that.
Yeah, he kind of palmed it at second slip and then took it at the feet of Eoin Morgan in first slip. So, well, he'll be pleased to have taken it one way or another. It's a wicket in the scorebook. David Willey with a wicket. He'll be pleased with that. Gunathilaka will be disappointed. Just a gorgeous shot to start off with, and couldn't quite push on. Now then, Oshada Fernando has come into the side today. And he's got a very decent average and good strike rate. 27 is his average with a bad strike rate of 125 and a best of 78 against Pakistan in Lahore in 2019. He's got a job to do here for Sri Lanka as Willey comes in. He's got one widest slip in place. Starts with a full ball, which is lofted over the covers, and the man from a squarish deep third position will come round to point and get it back in. This Adil Rashid fielding out there. 2 runs to the Sri Lankan total, 6 for 1. And yeah, I mean, I guess they kind of have to go aggressive, Jimmy, if they're to get anywhere near this 180.
Yeah, they have to. They've got to play some shots and make the most of this power play. But saying that, they can't afford to. If England get them 3 or 4 down, then that's probably game over.
Willey in once again, back of a length this time, swinging away down leg side. It'll be a wide as Bairstow managed to get a little bit of glove on that. They do come back for a quick 2, so they'll get 3 more to the total with those wides, I believe. They ran 2 of them. No, just the 2 wides at the moment. Just going to take another look at it. Yeah, went down the leg side, and Bairstow did really well to get a hand to that. That was swinging a long way. We saw a few of those from Isuru a little bit earlier, Udana a little bit earlier, but signs there's a lot of swing out there.
Yeah, it does look like it's swinging quite big actually for David Willey. Which is a good sign. Just needs to try and get it under control, make sure he starts it on the right line. Got a bit straight with that one. Made it difficult for Jonny Bairstow down the leg side.
Yeah, so just confirmation that ball did cost 3, 2 runs and 1 wide down the leg side, so 3 wides in total. As Willey comes in, this time a little lap shot from Fernando. Didn't quite execute it well. There was a chance for Sam Curran at short fine leg. In the end, the ball's run away to a more squarish fine region, and in the end, the batsmen get back for 2. Well, it's all happening here at the Ageas Bowl. Not a dull moment so far in the Sri Lanka reply. We're only 4 balls into it. 11 for 1, Sri Lanka.
That's an incredible shot to attempt in your third ball. Third ball of your innings, but must be one of his strengths. He's got fine leg in the circle, so that gives him the opportunity to, if he does get bat on it, to go up and over him. But he sort of got, it was like a glove, wasn't it? It wasn't quite enough to get it over.
Didn't quite get the contact he was after, I suspect. As in comes Willey once again. This time it's been driven uppishly, but on the bounce to the fielder at mid-off, and that will be a dot ball. 11 for 1 the score remains. 1 ball to come in this first over from Willey. It's been a busy over, really. That drive actually was very aerial, just on the bounce to Jordan. It was quite deep at mid-off. Thought he might be in with a chance for a second. Fernando on strike as the next ball has just struck the pad and gone into the leg side. They'll run through for a leg by. It was again attempting that extravagant sweep flick type shot. Didn't execute it at all. In the end, he'll be happy with the leg by and he'll keep the strike as well. Oshada Fernando, he's on 4 not out so far. Sri Lanka 12 for 1 after 1 over. I'm not quite sure what to make of that over so far.
It had a bit of everything, didn't it? Had a bit of everything. Some good cricket, lovely shot to start with from Gunathilaka, but then just good follow-up from David Willey, gets the outside edge. Not a great catch from Malan, but it's a catch.
It's a catch.
Goes down as a catch. And then that sweep shot that Fernando started playing, it's not the ramp that we've seen Livingstone and Butler play.
No.
It's more of a genuine lap sort of sweep, hard sweep.
Yeah, it's kind of a cross in between. You know, it's the kind of shot that Alex Hills might play, and I bring him up for a reason. It's because elsewhere, Alex Hills has just reached a century for Nottinghamshire. 101 from 64 deliveries, 12 fours and 4 sixes in that knock as well. Commentary on that game and all of today's Vitality T20 blast action on the BBC Sport website and app. Some great T20 action happening around the country. Not less so here in the Aegeus Bowl. 6,500 people enjoying the sunshine, a beautiful day, clear skies, and some good cricket. Now then, Oshada Fernando on strike. Chris Woakes back in the England side today. And he comes to bowl with a slip in place in his first ball. Just swings away from the swinging bat of Oshada Fernando through to the keeper for no run. Big shot attempted there, Jimmy. That was a big one. He was looking to put that from Southampton to some local town.
Portsmouth?
Yeah.
Could have gone for Portsmouth there.
Yeah. Your geography's a lot better than mine.
I mean, he looks a little bit nervous to me. He looks like he's trying to play a shot every ball rather than just taking his time and getting himself in. Looking to play some big shots.
Woakes now, he's got a slip in place as well, and he comes this time similar length but a little bit slower, and Oshada Fernando just threw his shot before the ball got anywhere near him, and it goes through the keeper for another dot ball. 72 miles an hour. It's a bit of a drop in pace there from Woakes for that slower ball. You get the feeling the weight of this 180, you can really see the weight on these batsmen, can't you?
Well, yeah, I mean, they've chased it once, I think, in their history, Sri Lanka, so with an inexperienced group like this, it's such a big ask, and when you don't have experience of doing it before, it's hard to know how to go about it.
Chris Woakes in once again, this time and similar, with identical delivery, identical everything that time, looking for the big pull shot. The ball swings away, goes through to the keeper, no run, just a little bit quicker that time from Woakes at 84 miles an hour. And I mean, as a bowler, Jimmy, when you hit that line and length, which is very decent, but you see the batsman attempting that shot, is that encouraging, or what do you make of it?
Well, it's definitely encouraging because it's a shot. It's a ball where the first 3 balls he could have easily tried to hit through the offside.
Woakes in now once again, and then this time the ball swings again away from the swinging bat of Oshada Fernando. He can't get his bat anywhere near the ball at the moment. Chris Woakes is just kind of toying with him with that slower ball. 70 miles an hour that time. 12 for 1 the score remains.
Yeah, I wonder if this is the earliest ever slow ball bowled in a T20 game. Chris Woakes' second ball he bowled a slow ball, and another one there in his 4th ball. It's as if they've done their homework and they know that because he's struggling to line this up, he's just having a swing at everything.
Oshada Fernando in all sorts at the moment as Woakes comes in now, this time fuller, and again a big swing and a big miss from Oshada Fernando. I make that 4 swings and misses for him in this over. 5 dot balls in a row for Chris Woakes here as Sri Lanka still 12 for 1. Fernando looks out of sorts. He almost doesn't know what to do with these slower balls.
But again, he's just trying to hit everything aerial as well. He's not trying to just think, right, it's not quite there, I'll get off strike, or I'll try and look for a gap in the field. He's just trying to hit everything for 6.
It's all or nothing for Oshada Fernando so far as Woakes comes in. and bowls, and this time Oshada connects with the top edge of his bat. It runs really fine to a really sort of fine third region, and the ball comes back in from the deep. In the end, the batsman managed to get 2. Oshada Fernando grateful to get any runs at all, and he bat on the ball of Chris Woakes in that over. A superb over from him, just the 2 runs off it. 14 for 1 after 2 overs. And yes, the variation's already coming from England. It's almost as if they've also sensed, Jimmy, here that there are runs on the board here, the runs on the table, and they've got to keep those variations coming. Nothing complacent from England.
Yeah, and I also think they'll have communicated with the batsmen from the first innings. We saw England lose a cluster of wickets towards the end, and that was through Sri Lanka taking the pace off the ball. So they must have communicated that, the batsmen who faced that, to the opening bowlers, and they've, as early as the first over, have been changing their pace.
Yes, absolutely. Kusal Perera is going to get a chance to face up for the first time. He's on strike. 2 slips in place for Willey as he comes in, and the ball takes a thick outside edge. And the gully is very, very fine, and they run through for a single. There's an attempted single anyway. There's a shy at the non-striker's end. In the end, it didn't connect, and, well, when you look back in the records, all it will show is a dot ball, but we know a lot more happened on that ball there. I saw the ball just swinging away, just leaving the batsman, taking that thick outside edge, just dropping short of the diving Livingstone at gully. Should you bring him in a bit? Bring him in a bit, Jimmy, maybe?
Potentially, yeah. It would have been. There was a run-out chance as well that would have been out if it had hit the stumps.
Willey in once again. This time a bit straighter on the pads of the batsman, looking to get off strike is Perera. There was a shy at the keeper's end, and in the end, it's gone through to the man backing up, who's sweeping in the cover. So a single taken, an overthrow there. 15 for 1.
There's so much going on at the minute. It's hard to keep up with.
I'm struggling to describe it all, Jimmy.
It's just off the groin, set off for a single, turn back. Would have been out with a hit from Liam Livingstone.
Yeah.
But then it's ended up going through to the fielder in the deep, and they end up getting one anyway. But just a bit frenetic at the minute from everyone, really.
Yeah, a lot going on here at the Ageas Bowl. As Sri Lanka in pursuit of 180. Willey in once again, this time back of a length, and gets Oshada Fernando's bat quite high up as it goes into the onside for no run. 15 for 1 after 2.3 overs. England a little bit earlier powered their way to 180. We did think they might get more than that at one stage, but as Jimmy says, a cluster of wickets fell. It's not one of those pitches where it's easy to come out and start swinging and hitting those big shots straight away. Willey now quickly back into his action. He comes in and bowls back of a length. This time the ball takes a thick inside edge and it goes into the deep square leg region. They take the first one quickly. They make it back for 2 comfortably. Oshada Fernando moves on to 8. Perera's just had the 2 balls so far. It's slightly starved of the strike. 17 for 1 after 2.4.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see how good a knock that was from David Malan. The fact that he took his time. He was slow at the start, but he was just getting used to the pace of the wicket, and then as the innings progressed, he just managed to start up in the rate, and no other batsman's been able to do that.
Willey in again, and this time just outside off, and it's been driven just wide enough of the fielder at mid-off that they can run through for a single. Fernando moves on to 9. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talk about him starting slowly. He managed to get to his 50, Jimmy, in 30 balls.
Yeah. That's
good going.
Yeah, and Bairstow, obviously.
Of course.
I missed him out, but the innings from both of them and that partnership was really, really good batting, really smart cricket. And yeah, they both ended up with a really good strike rate as well.
Perera on strike now as Willey comes in, and this time there's a big swing from the bat of Perera. Only his 3rd ball, and he's gone after it. Hasn't quite connected it. It's gone high up in the air and just bunted in the ground and deep in the covers. Moeen Ali will do the fielding, and the batsman will come through for 2. And Sri Lanka move on to 20 for 1 after 3 overs. Yes, absolutely. What a partnership it was. 100+ runs from David Malan and Jonny Bairstow. Bairstow getting 51 from 43 deliveries. Malan 76 of 48, and arguably still not quite finding his timing in the middle. So when he scores 76 of 48 balls and you're nowhere near your best in terms of timing, it's an indicator of a pretty strong player.
Yeah, sign of a quality player, and he has been for a while now for England, and that's why he's at the top of the T20 rankings. And you can question him as much as you want, and there might be difficult decisions down the line when we get all the players back fit and we've got a full squad to select from. But he's just showing his class today and shows that at the minute he deserves a place in this team.
Chris Woakes back in the team today, and he is for his second over. Starts with a slower ball. It's just been worked to the short fine leg fielder, Adil Rashid, for a single. Fernando into double figures now. He's on 10 off 14. Sri Lanka 21 for 1, chasing the 180 scored by England here in Southampton in the third international T20 between these two sides. England winning both games in Cardiff relatively comfortably, has to be said. Sri Lanka have shown glimpses of hope and certain moments around which they can start to build a team, but it feels like it's going to be a long process for them to get anywhere near anything like a team that could hope to win something like a World T20.
Yeah, but I think you'd look at any team that's started that process. It does take a while. Look at England in 2015. It took a while for that white ball group to actually develop into a team that became the strongest in the world.
Woakes in once again. Big swing from the bat to Perera. That ball went between Perera and the stumps and was taken really well behind by Jonny Bairstow as well. Dot ball in the end, but it nearly bowled the batsman. It's not a million miles away from the stumps.
Yeah, it's good bowling. He's giving himself room. Chris Woakes followed him, trying to cramp him up just so he can't free his arms, which is why you'd give yourself width in the first place.
Bairstow doing so well, almost sort of wrong-footed because the swing came back in towards him. Had to move away from his natural angle. I feel like it's going to be a busy day for Jonny Bairstow behind the stumps. It feels like one of those days. 21 for 1. Sri Lanka after 3.2 overs. Chris Woakes, very economical so far, and he comes. And this time the ball's just been pushed to backward point. They want the single. There's a direct hit at the batsman's end, and we're going to have a review. It's an excellent throw from Moeen Ali. He got it in quickly. It felt like the batsmen were home, but we're going to have a look at it. It's going through to the third umpire for a review.
See your best side on angle, please.
Right, we see Moeen Ali with a very clean pickup and striking the stumps, and the bat wasn't quite grounded. Oh, he just grounded his bat in time.
That's clearly down. Thank you. I'm ready with my decision for the big screen.
And that'll be given not out.
My decision is not out.
Nearly a schoolboy
Not
error.
out.
Not grounding your bat. Wow. Just kind of tapped it in time. Some nice alertness shown by the England fielders. This is a very hot and muggy day here as well in Southampton. 22 for 1 Sri Lanka after 3.3 overs. Chris Woakes in once again. Fernando on strike. Woakes bowls. Fernando attempts that sweep shot again. Doesn't connect. The ball strikes him on the shoulder. And it is yet another dot ball. Fernando really struggling with Chris Woakes. Woakes has only conceded 4 runs off his 10 deliveries so far, and he's bowled almost all of them at Oshada Fernando. I feel like he's got to try something different here, Oshada Fernando.
Well, or maybe he's trying a bit too much. He seems to be trying something different every ball. He's trying a different shot, and it's just none of them seems to be working at the moment.
Really struggling at the moment, he is Oshada, but he's still there as Woakes comes in. Fuller ball this time. The ball takes a thick outside edge of a big booming drive attempted by Oshada Fernando. And it flies away on the bounce to the fielder at deep third. Sam Curran gets it back in. Single taken. Sri Lanka 23 for 1 now. Oshada Fernando, possibly the best thing for him, really, just to be off strike for a few balls, particularly against Chris Woakes.
Yeah, he's bowling really well. He's using the variation of pace brilliantly. Just way ahead of the batsman and playing much smarter cricket.
Chris Woakes taking his time as well. Experienced campaigner. And he comes to the final ball of his second over. This time the ball's taken a leading edge. It's gone up in the air. Will it be taken with a great diving effort? That is absolutely superb. What an incredible catch to give Chris Woakes his first wicket. Liam Livingstone, the man running in from quite a distance, slides and takes the catch inches before it hits the ground. And England have their second wicket. Sri Lanka 23 for 2. What a catch that was.
Yeah, it was, and a really well-deserved wicket for Chris Woakes. He's been brilliant in his first 2 overs. Another change of pace, brings the leading edge from Perera, who's trying to hit it out onto the leg side. And just another... He's made that catch look really easy, but it's not. He's made a lot of ground, had to run in from the boundary, and takes it sliding on his sort of backside, I guess. Just low to the ground, but another sign of just some quality cricket from England. Good bowling and some more good fielding, which we've seen throughout this series.
Yeah, we saw a direct hit earlier in that over as well from Moeen Ali at point, and then what an effort from Livingstone. I mean, it's always difficult when the ball's dying in front of you, but when you're sliding towards it as well, that's just extraordinary. Superb catch. Remember, you can see clips of that later on the BBC Sport website. Check that out. 23 for 2 after 4 overs. England in control of this game, it has to be said. Kusal Mendis, the new batsman. He's got a best of 79 as well. Decent strike rate of 127, averaging exactly 19 runs. He's not played a ton of T20 cricket. Sri Lanka do play more T20 cricket than a lot of countries, but Kusal's only played 20-odd games himself. Comes in with his team in a bit of trouble here. Now then, David Willey will continue for his 3rd over. First ball, good length, squares up the batsman, takes a thick outside edge, goes into the covers. Dot ball. 23 for 2. This England team just so good, and they've been so good all the way through this series, as you say, Jimmy, and just exerting that pressure on the opposition, not letting them have any free runs, making them feel like they have to be inventive.
Yeah, I think they've just done everything that little bit better than Sri Lanka in all departments.
Yes. Slip still in place for Willey as he comes in, this time wide outside the off stump, nearly takes the outside edge as it goes through to the keeper. Mendis, not super comfortable yet in his first 2 balls. 23 for 2, the score remains.
Yeah, I think they've just been... The skills have been better, and also they've been smarter. They've assessed the conditions quicker, and generally I think the team that does that the quickest, adjusts to the conditions the quickest, usually comes out on top.
Willey in now once again. This time the ball's been smashed high and down the ground with good contact, good enough for it to cross the fence. That's a 6. Well, slightly against the run of play, but Kusal Mendis is trying to keep Sri Lanka in with a shout there. Beautifully straight hit, and it's the first 6 of the innings. Sri Lanka 29 for 2 after 4.3.
Yeah, not a bad way to get off the mark. Gets the length that he'd want to hit it over the top. It's quite full, not much swing, still a little bit of shape in the air. It's a lovely time shot straight down the ground.
Yeah, just more controlled than bludgeoned, wasn't it? As Willey now in once again to Mendis. This time the ball beats the outside edge through to the keeper. There's a big appeal, and it's been given by the umpire. It looked like it had beaten the outside edge, but apparently it's connected. Well, Mendis has decided to review it straight away. No hesitation, no conference with the non-striking batsman. Immediately signals that T on the end of the bat.
TV umpire to director, we've got a player review for a call behind. On-field decision is out. It's a fair delivery. Can I see front on spin vision, please?
The on-field decision, of course, out, remember. It's impossible to tell. We'll need to see ultra edge to confirm whether there was contact.
Can we move on to ultra edge, please?
Yep, there's the spike.
Thank you. Clear spike. We can go back on field to Martin, please. Martin, stay with your decision. You're on camera. You give the batsman out.
Well, there we go. The umpire can stand by his decision. Sri Lanka in all sorts of trouble there. It looked like there might be a recovery coming with that 6 from Mendis, but it's 6 and out. Sri Lanka in trouble here, 29 for 3. Now, beautiful delivery there from Willey. I'm just quite surprised, Jimmy, with the conviction of that review. He reviewed it immediately. He had no idea he got anything on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm dubious with that. When batsmen say they're not sure if they hit it or not, I've never experienced that in my career. You always know if you hit it. But he was... it wasn't immediate. I would say there's probably 2 seconds before he reviewed it, so it wasn't like a Stuart Broad immediate, like, bang, we're having a look at this. It was kind of... I just didn't want to admit or sort of hope that he was going to get lucky and get away with it, but it wasn't to be.
It was a hopeful review more than anything else.
Yeah.
And, well, a big player gone for Sri Lanka. Mendis is back in the hut, and it brings Sri Lanka's wicketkeeper, Niroshan Dickwella, to the crease. He's played some good hands for Sri Lanka in the past. One of the rare players that's managed to stay in this team over the last 4 or 5 years. Still only played 28 T20 matches, averaging just under 19 with a strike rate of 135. He'll be on strike here, just making Willey wait a second. But he's got terrific figures, actually. 2.4 overs, 2 for 22 already. 2 slips as well in place as he comes in and bowls to Dickwella, whose first ball, he's attempted a lap shot on his first ball and missed it. And it's just gone into the onside and there's no run. But that's about as ambitious as a first shot gets, Jimmy.
Yes. I can't quite believe what I've seen there. When you're 30 for 3 inside the power play and you try and sort of, the dab sweep, very ambitious, to a guy who's been swinging the ball, bowling with decent pace.
Well, just as you said, the England batsmen talked to the England bowlers. I kind of wish the Sri Lanka had done the opposite as well. As in comes Willey now, this time the ball just earing onto the leg stump line. It's been flicked nicely, just guided that time by Dickwella. It's gone fine to the fine leg boundary. 4 runs for him, he's off the mark. Sri Lanka, after 5 overs, it's all the threes, 33 for 3. Well, it could have been a bright start, but they just made too many errors here. England putting the pressure on. It's going to be hard for them to come back. What is Sri Lanka's route back into this match to find maybe a consolatory victory against all odds? Because right now it looks like a whitewash is very much on the cards. Jimmy Anderson, a few thoughts from you, and then you're going to be joined by Charles Dagnall.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for Sri Lanka from here. Just those 3 wickets early and still with another over of the power play left, it's going to be tough. But they're going to have to keep going for it, I think. With a big score like 180, they're just going to have to keep going because there's no point just trying to get back in it for a little bit and then leaving yourself 15, 20 and over at the end. You've got to try and keep up with the rate as much as you possibly can.
There's no time for consolidation whatsoever. At best, maybe an over, but that's really, even now, with the way that things stand at 33 for 3 and the target 181, a long way down. Fernando is 11 not out. Niroshan Dickwella 4 from 2. And Chris Jordan is going to bowl the final over of the power play from the pavilion end. Towards us he comes. His first delivery is a slower ball, which sort of dies in the pitch, and a bottom edge from the attempted cut of Fernando just trickles through to Jonny Bairstow. Field, there's no slip in place. There's 2 deep fielders, deep backward square and a deep mid-wicket. 5 in the offside ring, a mid-on and a short fine leg. That's Adil Rashid, who we'll see before too long. Going to see Moeen Ali as well. Be nice to see him with ball in hand in international colours again. Jordan, smooth run up and then bursts at the end. A big swing and a miss from Fernando. Tries to launch him over the top. Doesn't connect, and through to Bairstow it goes. Really is a lovely afternoon now. Definitely shirt sleeves, hats and sun cream here at the GS Bowl, which hosted the World Test Championships recently. Much more different weather now than it was over those 6 days. Fabulous game of cricket though. Gripping listen as Jordan sets off again past umpire Wharf. Bowls another slower delivery. This time it's been connected by Fernando. Lovely lofted on drive. Not sure if it's just got the legs to go all the way to the boundary, but it was in his slot. It was full of length, and enough length for him to get the elevation required to go over long on. Alex Wharf, the umpire, just checking to see whether it was 4 or 6. Fine strike though from Fernando.
Yeah, and I think Fernando's just gone with the thought of if he swings at every single ball, he's bound to connect with one eventually, and that's what he's done there.
And he has got enough. It has gone all the way for 6. So Fernando moves to 17. Sri Lanka 39 for 3. As he waits again. Slightly open stance as Jordan approaches, and a quicker delivery just back of a length. And as James Anderson mentioned, the swing at everything approach is what he's trying. That was a wild one. And through it goes to wicketkeeper Jonny Bairstow. 88 miles an hour from Chris Jordan, England's leading wicket taker in T20 internationals. He turns at the top of his mark. Remember, Stokes and Archer still to come back into this England T20 side, and Jordan comes in bowls, and another swing and a miss from Fernando. And this is where Sri Lanka have been a little bit guilty of just churning up dot balls. You know, not pushing the field, not nudging into singles. With every boundary that England score, there's another 5 or 6 collected in runs.
Yeah, it's just a bit of... It's not smart, is it? It's not smart cricket that we saw with England. 17 off 21, Fernando here, and he's played a shot of ball.
Jordan wide of the crease, and he goes across his stumps over to the offside, tries to whip it over Rashid at short fine leg, doesn't connect again, it clatters into the pads and just dribbles out into the onside. So strange old over that, lots of swinging blades, only one connection, and that went for 6. Other than that, the rest were dot balls. 39 for 3 after 6 overs. The power play is over, fielding restrictions relaxed. James Anderson leaves us, and speaking of relaxed, here's Ebony Rain for Brent.
Hello, Daggers. I was processing your runs.
Runs?
Yeah, your runs. I was like, is that different to runs, or is it?
Yes, they've got to actually run them.
Oh, okay, like the...
As opposed to not running them if the ball goes over for 6.
If anyone out there also was trying to work that out. Now, I'm glad we've got the explanation.
I think it's only you.
Do you think it's only me?
I really do.
No, I think it's only you who says these sort of things.
Right,
But
well, give me another way of describing runs that are where the batsmen actually cross and get to their respective ends.
When they
As
run their
opposed to-
runs.
So
but not
runs.
Let's get back to the cricket, shall we? And
That was cricket.
no, it's the way your brain works is what we've just been dealing with. Right, anyway.
And again, I would go back to the way your brain works. Anyway, here's Sam Curran into the attack. Fielding restrictions relaxed, slip still in place as Curran, left arm over, replacing Willey at left arm over. Big appeal for LBW from behind the stumps, not so much from Sam Curran, and the ball goes just shy of backward point, and a single is picked up. A leg by is picked up. DRS timer just ticking down, but Curran wasn't interested in when the bowler's not. I don't think captain will be either.
Yeah, it didn't feel right. I just wonder in terms of length as well. Might be a bit high, just not enough going for it, so no real interest or threat. Yeah, above the knee roll.
There wasn't much to like about that, to be honest, and hence why Sam Curran didn't turn around. Slightly skewed vision of the wicketkeeper, who would have been blinded by the batsman or shadowing where
Well, hopefully
the line of the ball.
This ball he can bowl it.
That's right, that's what he will do. And the batsman will bat it.
Bat or just bat?
Now, he's going to come round the wicket, Curran, to the right-handed Fernando. What's his approach going to be? Just open the face and push it out into the offside for a single. So Sri Lanka to 41 for 3. They just seem a little haphazard in their approach.
It's frustrating to watch, actually, because what you like about England, when you look at, say, a Bairstow or Malan at the top, how they went about it, they're strong shots, as in they're just getting into good position, but still playing initially through the line. So it's actually not a risky shot, it's just a good base and then transitioning power, as opposed to wild, more lasso-style batting.
Dickwella waits and beats the bat to Sam Curran. A little airy-fairy waft from Dickwella outside of the off-stump, and through it goes to Bairstow.
I think that's what the best teams in T20, I still think, play just normal shots, and then they find a way to just turn that into a bit of a flourish. So they get into positions that, you know, you can draw, and then later on in their innings they bring in the dill scoops and all the other variations. But yeah, too much going on for Sri Lanka, a little bit frazzled.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. 41 for 3. Curran away from us, from the hotel end, and this is chipped out into the offside by Niroshan. Dickwella, opportunity of a catch, just shelled. Another brilliant attempt out in the deep, and I think it's Livingstone again who was sprinting in from the deep cover edge. And it is Liam Livingstone, and he dived full length in front of himself, the most difficult catch to take, and it was in the hands and just slipped out. So much work done to get there, and he just couldn't hold on. Great attempt, but Dickwella survives, and Sri Lanka 42 for 3.
Yeah, he did everything right, didn't he? First of all, picked it up early, saw it, ran in and put in the full stretch.
Round the wicket comes Curran, a short delivery, an attempted uppercut from Fernando, doesn't connect, and through to Bairstow. It's signalled wide, too short for umpire Saggers. So Sri Lanka tick over to 43 for 3. But you're right, in you know, they are. You can still play proper cricket shots. The drives, but you loft it a little bit, or just as you say, add that flourish, purpose, sense of purpose. but it's working round those shots as well to manoeuvre balls into gaps as Curran bowls a Yorker, a good one, dug out well by Fernando. But there is no run, 80 miles an hour from Sam Curran.
I think the other way as well is relieving pressure. So I watched Morgan do this in, I think it was the last game or so, is there was a couple of good balls and he nudged one or two just to open up the gap, then the boundary option was there. So just almost sometimes just giving yourself time by finding the timing, and then you can play. It's just, yeah.
It's almost like a batsman setting up as a bowler would, as Curran delivers the next ball outside of the off stump, and again Fernando's just swinging and he's not connecting whatsoever. 18 from 25 he is, and Sri Lanka 43 for 3 after 7. Just a note that following the conclusion of this game, 5 Live Sports Extra listeners will have commentary on Rugby Union's English Premiership final. Been to one or two of those in my time, haven't I? Exeter Chiefs versus Harlequins is the game. Yes, went there when he used to follow the Leicester Tigers many a time. Been down to Twickers.
Are they any good, the Tigers?
Are they any good? They were like the Manchester United of rugby at one time.
Were they?
Yes. Martin Johnson and people like that. Yes. Martin Corrie and Neil Back.
Yeah. Game on then.
Yes. But Exeter versus the Quins. Quins only nipping across the road at Twickenham. It is at Twickenham. I'm looking to Adam, and Adam's genuinely clueless. He thinks it is. Anyway, that's happening straight after the conclusion of this game on 5 Live Sports Extra. Jordan continues from the pavilion end. Round the wicket he comes, and Dickwella leans back, trying to work it, guided off an open face down towards third man, but doesn't succeed. And through it goes to Bairstow.
It's interesting, England aren't really offering anything full for Sri Lanka. Both Sam Curran and Jordan have been banging it into that pitch, the sort of back of a length, which is awkward to sort of camp on your front foot and make it a nice friendly option. I think they've just sensed that Sri Lanka, are going to play this way and actually almost just dry them up, not let them leaning into anything.
Jordan strides towards us and tucks up Dickwella, who punches this with a lot of bottom hand through the onside. Just for a single, though, as far as David Willey, who trots around from mid-on to do the fielding. Single taken, 44 for 3. It is at Twickenham. So there you go.
I mean, I knew that, but you didn't ask me, you asked Adam. No, I haven't got a clue.
So there you go.
It'll be a good one, though.
Always is. Good. It's a good day out at Twickers.
The weather's good today as well.
Gorgeous. Can you
a
imagine?
bit of sport.
It really is baking now here at the Aegeus Bowl. It's one of those grounds as well, because the concrete nature of it, the big concourse, it radiates heat around the ground as well. You got to be careful. You're going to slip, slop, slap on that cream, else you'll end up pretty toasty on your way home from West End. Here's Jordan over the wicket and flicked away by Fernando. Doesn't get all of it. Might have actually just tickled the thigh pad as it trickles down towards Rashid at fine leg. Just maybe a bit of inside edge. But a single taken, 45 for 3.
Just looks a bit uncomfortable with the pace as well. I think there's a few things going on. There's a bit of technical competence needed, but also just a little bit. It looked a bit awkward there, and he knew that it was coming into the body and just.
I wonder if this is a process, though, with the Lanka Premier League only being in its infancy, only been going a year, and much as we saw with the Pakistan Super League, Pakistan weren't a great T20 side at one stage. As Jordan round the wicket to Dickwella, and saw Dickwella move in the crease outside of leg stump, and then he splayed the ball wide outside of the off stump, signalled wide by umpire Wolf, to the bemusement of Chris Jordan. But I wonder, much now Pakistan are way more rounded T20 side. They're a fabulous side. And I just wonder if it will take a couple of years for the Lanka Premier League to maybe affect the international side.
Yeah, there's no doubt that even our players, English players, have gone to the IPLs and other tournaments, and it's given a big bash, and it's given them the knowledge and the skill set.
Jordan wide outside the off stump, but quick. Dickwella swings and doesn't connect. Through it goes to Bairstow.
Just thinking, there's someone like Dickwella who's a little bit more experienced, has played in a couple of the leagues.
There's not many, is there?
There's not many, yeah.
Of the Sri Lankan internationals, you go down the side. Although I think Chameera might get a look somewhere.
Yeah.
Especially after the way he bowled today. But you wouldn't say, well, plays in the IPL, or plays in the PSL, or plays in the T20 blast here in the UK as Jordan is round the wicket. Another swing and a miss. Goodness me. Sri Lanka just can't lay bat on England at the moment. 46 for 3.
And even adding to that, and I'm thinking about, I just had a quick look, and he's played St. Lucia. There's not been a huge amount of teams actually when you think Big Bash, IPL, PSL, Blast. So you're right. If you haven't had that experience and exposure, it's going to take time to learn how to catch up.
And the other thing is, and I hate to sound mercenary about this, but the financial aspect as well for being a good T20 player, there is money out there. As Jordan, one who has made quite a few from his T20 performances, bowls short of a length, another swing, another miss, and it goes through to wicketkeeper Bairstow. A very fine over from Chris Jordan. 8 overs gone, 46 for 3. So if you are in the Sri Lankan team, if there's money to be out there, if in all of these franchises, granted their own Lankan Premier League they'll want to be part of, but if you can make a name for yourself in there, that opens up a world of opportunities for you.
Yeah. I think just watching how they've gone about, Chameera really stands out to me. He seems, like you said, especially after performance tonight, he could be picked up in some of these leagues pretty soon.
Yeah.
Good pace, good variation. After that, I don't know, maybe the next would be Hasaranga. Maybe.
Yeah, perhaps.
And almost then you have to make your name in the leagues as you progress to try and...
Agreed. Sam Curran will continue from the northern end, our end, and this is flicked up in the air. Should be a simple catch, and is. At backward point, David Willey shouted loud over Adil Rashid that it was his catch at backward point. Another uppercut attempted by Fernando. He does connect this time. The only problem is went down the throat of David Willey. Sam Curran has the wicket, and the fourth one goes for Sri Lanka. It's 46 for 4.
Really smart from England. They just know that Sri Lanka are not wanting the ball to come into them at an awkward height. So he's coming around the wicket, just angling it into the body. And that shot is just from Fernando, is just again another sign of uncomfortableness, and just pops it up. So fair play to England as well. They're being ruthless here. They're offering them nothing. They're not letting them get into any sort of opportunity to knock it around or play some shots. It is difficult.
46 for 4, 19 from Fernando of 27 deliveries, and I reckon of those 27, at least 15 or 16 were wild swings that he just did not connect with. It's not just... It's emphasising the point that you were making before. It's not a T20, and it was maybe in the first year or so of in 2003. It's not a slogger's game. You've still got to play orthodox cricket shots, granted innovative ones that have come into being orthodox, if you like, the paddles and the laps and the ramps and that sort of thing, but it's not a swinging. Those are controlled shots.
Yeah.
There is a difference between innovation and just haphazard swinging.
I think you've got to get into a good position first and foremost, and I think the paces are something that they're concerned about. So then it doesn't help if you're slightly backing away, then you're playing loose.
Well, Curran will come over the wicket to Dasun Shanaka, who's new man at the crease. I should say that, but it's Niroshan Dickwella on strike because the batsman crossed whilst the ball was in the air.
Well, Shanaka's the batter that's offered, I think, the most in terms of that 50 in the first game, where came in at a difficult situation and couldn't actually play with freedom for a while because there were wickets tumbling at the other end.
Where Fernando was undone by Curran, it was just another one of those balls that he cuts his fingers across and it grips in the surface, slows up and leaps a little bit. And he tried to manoeuvre the ball through the onside, but with a closed face, and that's what caused the leading edge to backward point. He's going to stay over the wicket to Shanaka. Slip in place. 3 in the offside ring, 1 on the leg side. That is the captain, Morgan. His first delivery is into the hips of Shanaka, who gets a bit of thigh pad on it, I fancy. And out to short, fine leg it goes. Signalled leg buys. 48 for 4. Watched a bit of I watched a lot of the Sri Lankan Test series over in the West Indies. Watched a young player called Pasam Nissanka score a debut century. He looks a very good player. Like to see him, what he's got in other formats. But I also watched Niroshan Dickwella, who holds an unfortunate record.
Oh, no.
As he waits, does Dickwella, for Sam Curran. Short delivery, pulled, and maybe off the back of his helmet. It's gone down towards third man. I don't know if it connected with the bat at all. Maybe it did. Just a little bit of handle, perhaps. Down to third man, it went for a single, 49 for 4. But he's now the record holder of the most 50s collected by a batsman without scoring a Test 100. Oh. And he made 96 in that same innings that Nissanka got 100, and Kemar Roach bowled him. Oh, just heartbroken for the bloke. He'd worked so hard. There's a big appeal for LBW from Sam Curran, is turned down by umpire Saggers. Maybe height the issue. Swinging the ball back in. There is a little bit of swing out there for Curran. There is no run. Remains 49 for 4.
Yeah, you're right. Some good movement. It looked like a bit of swing and a bit off the pitch. Too high for sure on this scenario. Hit on the back leg, but very high, almost up on the hip bone. But it seems good bounce, good carry for England.
Slip still there, and a 1.5 slip, if you like. A wide delivery is driven straight to gully, and it's fielded well and smartly by David Willey in that position, and it concludes the over. So 9 overs have been bowled, and Sri Lanka are, well, nowhere, to be perfectly honest, in pursuit of this target of 181 to win. They still require 132, and there's only 11 overs in which to get them, and we still haven't seen yet Adil Rashid or Moeen Ali. There could be wickets here if you're Adil Rashid or Moeen Ali.
Yeah.
You're rubbing your hands thinking they're going to try and they've got to try and launch it.
They've got to try and do something. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because one, we didn't really see any turn in the first innings. So the opportunity for Moeen Ali in terms of bowling numbers is being reduced at the moment, where he's been using a lot of his seamers. But is he going to get a look in? No, I think they just think seam is the way to go. What the wicket is conducive to, what Sri Lanka look uncomfortable with. So I think you're right, Adil Rashid. That kind of he's very good at cleaning up a tail as well.
Well, at 49 for 4 with 132 to win from 11 overs, as Woakes comes back into the attack from the pavilion end, slightly angled run, comes towards Dickwella, and he tries to ramp him, and does he? No, he's not successful. Just comes off the back of the bat, is it? No, is it going to be signalled leg byes by umpire Wharf? I'm just waiting. Just a single taken. 50 up for Sri Lanka. 50 for 4.
He's ramping with...
Was leg byes.
Yeah, leg byes, sorry. But he's attempting to ramp with both back, which, you know, I know he's trying to go directly over, but that's such a big shot when you've got two fielders in play.
Absolutely. It's the smarts, isn't it?
Yeah, there's better options available.
A ripple of applause as crowd realise that Sri Lanka have got to a 50. I wonder if you know that there's going to be wickets available. I wonder if Eoin Morgan says, I might have a ball. They've got to go at 12, 13 and over. Give myself a little trundle. Here's Woakes with the slip in place now, and Shanaka plays this through the offside, squared up a little bit. Gets a single, 51 for 4.
I still feel they're better off doing what they just did there. Just knock it around, get some momentum. Look, they might not win, but if you start to go at 6 and over just through releasing pressure, then you maybe start going at 8s, and then...
Well, Jonny Bairstow and Dawid Malan didn't start, explosively. They did have an opportunity to gauge the pace of the pitch, see how it was playing, as Woakes bowls, and Dickwella smashes this over the top. I don't think he's timed it. No, he hasn't. It plugs in the outfield, straight over the head of Chris Woakes. It's fielded, running around by mid-off. So another single onto the settle, 52 for 4. But there has to be a way of playing yourself in, just by picking up the 1s and the 2s and working out, whilst you're accumulating, what shots you can play and the nature of the pitch enabling you to play those certain shots. It might be a hit over the top pitch or a pull and cut square of the wicket type of pitch. It's It's the opportunity to give yourself those chances as Woakes comes in again and he's beaten outside the off stump. Good pace. Chris Woakes, maybe a little bit of away movement past the outside edge of Shanaka, and through it goes to Jonny Bairstow.
It's a good carry in this wicket, isn't there? But yeah, no, I completely take your point. They didn't. It wasn't easy to get. I think the wicket looks like it's actually getting better and carrying through more as the game's going. So it was a little bit hard work, but that just shows smart T20 batting, right? 20 overs is still a long time. If you know that you need 2 or 3 to get in, then you have to capitalise. They both did that with half centuries. So I'm just wondering what they can do between now and next week, Sri Lanka, in terms of the ODIs, which could look potentially even harder for them over a course of 50 overs.
That wide slip is back for Shanaka, and down the leg side it goes for Chris Woakes, and you heard a yelp perhaps on our effects microphone, and that was Woakes in frustration, getting a little bit too greedy, trying to get the ball to swing from outside of the leg stump. It wasn't going to, and it signalled wide, so Sri Lanka moved to 53 for 4. Malan is the wide slip. Now a genuine second slip. There is a gap between he and Bairstow behind the stumps as Woakes tries to remedy what he just did, and that did move away from a good length and beat Shanaka. No real foot movement, just hanging the bat there, almost asking the ball to nick it. Bairstow comfortably collects. So many different greens on the outfield at the moment. You can see this darkish green where some advertising matting has been put on the outfield either side of the square. Here at the GS Bowl, lighter greens where the same things happen, but behind the bowler's ends, as another delicious delivery from Chris Woakes beats the outside edge of Shanaka, and it's all a little bit miserable for Sri Lanka in this pursuit of 181 to win. 53 for 4 they are. Niroshan Dickwella is 9 not out. Dasun Shanaka is 1 not out. Chris Woakes has conceded just 8 runs from his 3 overs, taking the 1 wicket. It's a lot to do for Sri Lanka. 128 to win. We're at the halfway stage of their innings. Ebony Rain from Brent, more from you. And then Atif Nawaz will be coming in.
Yeah, Sri Lanka have got a lot of work to do. Clearly, at the moment, they're being outplayed. One thing I would like to see them possibly do is to get more bat on it by... They're standing very leg side and playing away from their body. And I just wonder if the option is to maybe take your guard a little bit more towards off stump. So just get in line with the ball, and then just, even if it's working for singles or 1 or 2, but just get in line rather than playing and missing at everything.
Yeah, it does seem a little bit facile to be being defeated so often by the swinging ball in T20 cricket and just not doing that fundamental right, as you say, Abs. It's been very poor from Sri Lanka, has to be said, as the next ball has been worked into the leg side. The batsman will take the first one quickly. They want the second. It's not there. They don't take it. 1 more to the score. 54 for 4. Good work out there by Sam Billings in the deep, applauded by the fans in attendance as well. Yeah, it's just, if I was a Sri Lanka fan at this point in time, and I actually really quite like their cricket generally, it's been really disappointing, because if anything, their play today has been so one-dimensional. They don't seem to have a plan B. We've seen that lap shot attempted a million times. I feel like I've seen something like 20 swings and misses. It feels like they're being completely outclassed. And we saw that the gap, it doesn't need to be that pronounced, particularly that second game in Cardiff. They were always in the running. Okay, the batting wasn't great then either, but there wasn't this huge gulf as has been shown today by England. So yeah, I mean, I like you, I kind of worry about them in the longer format. I mean, England playing in the way, in the kind of form that they're playing, you wouldn't bet against them to put some record totals up in this game, especially if they're back first. Yeah,
massively. I think it could be a pretty tough outing in the ODIs if it continues like this.
Curran in now, back of a length, driven, but only as far as the point fielder, who makes a stop, and that is another dot ball.
I think the thing with sport, right, I remember someone, great person, Alex Stewart, who I've learned a lot from, just through Surrey, and he would talk about progress being a really important word. It's like you're not expecting Sri Lanka, who are 8th in the world, to necessarily beat England, but over the course of 3 games there'd be small metrics and margins and stuff you'd have on your sheet or on the wall or in the team talks.
Curran in now, short ball, attempted pull shot. There's an appeal as it went down the leg side. The appeal has been rejected by the umpire, but no wide given either, so I would say well done, Jonny Bairstow there. 54 for 4 the score remains. Sorry.
Yeah, so I was just saying, what I think is frustrating, I suppose, to watch if you're a Sri Lankan fan is even if you're not expecting them to win, it might be right. Let's build on our scores or let our bowling. And I would say there's one player, Chameera. You know, the figures he's returned today, he has improved and consistently been good. We haven't seen those incremental improvements.
As Curran in again, another attempted pull shot, bottom edged on the bounce to the first slip fielder for no run. I've got to say as well, this has been such a challenging session of cricket to commentate, particularly those first 5 overs, because there was so many unconventional shots also being executed to varying degrees of success, and just bizarre scenarios the ball found itself in. So, you know, sometimes as a commentator you settle into a pattern, right, and that's on a good length and it goes through to the keeper and it's been driven before, but that wasn't happening. There were like 7 or 8 things happening every delivery. It's just hard to describe them all. So just selfishly, I want them to play better and make my job easier. Wide of the crease comes Curran. That one's been pulled and it's gone very fine, and it will race away to the fine leg boundary for 4 runs, 4 welcome runs for Dasun Shanaka. He moves on to 5 from his 11 deliveries. Sri Lanka 58 for 4 after 10.5.
Yeah, he just got in line with that one and tried to help it around the corner. He knew it was going to be back of a length. That's what Sam Curran's bowled a lot of. And actually then the ball ended up drifting and easily able to help down that leg side. I think that's the key, really. If they get into line with the ball, then they've got more options. And that is a scenario, you know, he got in line and then able to work it.
Curran in from wide of the crease this time. Another attempted pull shot. And this time he got in line, but the ball just whistled past him, didn't really judge it. And it's been given a no ball by the umpire. Is that a no ball for height?
Yeah, I think it might be for height.
Well, either way, it's going to be a free hit the next ball. It's Dickwella on strike as well. He's got 10 off 15 so far.
Yeah, just have a little look at the... You know, he's been banging them in, hasn't he, all day. Just above the helmet?
Yeah, just above, I would say.
Just.
Well, it would have been the last ball of the 11th over. Now it's going to be as a bonus ball coming up here for Sri Lanka. Free hit time. The field can't change, remember. And in comes Curran. And that's been smashed high and long by the batter. Just a couple of bounces to the long-on fielder. And another run to the total of Sri Lanka. So the free hit wasn't particularly costly in the end. Just a single off its slower ball that time as well from Curran. 70 miles an hour. 60 for 4 after 11 overs. Sri Lanka in deep trouble here. They've got a long way to go. 121 required of 54 balls. And, you know, I wish I could sit here and say they might be able to do it. They might be able to get close. We've seen glimpses from them. But the truth is their batting in this series has just not given us any reason to believe they could get anywhere near this.
Yeah, we talked about those incremental improvements. The other problem is that good teams also, your opposition, are going to be looking for those 1% and those improvements. So England, I think their bowling has been pretty good today. They've read it well. It looks like an oiled machine in terms of the field, how quickly they're getting out there to their positions. Everyone seems to know the plan, and they've offered Sri Lanka nothing. Not let them get on the front foot really at all.
They really have been terrific today. England, you know, the complete and polar opposite of Sri Lanka here, executed their plans really well, bat and ball. Now then, Chris Woakes in for his final over. This time the ball just beats the off stump as it goes through to the keeper. That was millimetres away from the top of off stump, and the batsman had no idea as that one tailed back in. Dot ball. Well,
oof, that cut through, so that seamed and actually went on the inside edge of the bat in the end.
It's extraordinary delivery. What a spell from Chris Woakes today. He's gone for 8 runs and taken the wicket. 3.1 overs. Bear in mind the team's chasing 180. In comes Woakes, full ball this time and driven to mid-wicket. They take the first one quickly. They won the second. He's a long way back and there's a direct hit. I think he's gone. He has. The umpire has given him, well, insult to injury for Sri Lanka. 61 for 5. An extraordinary throw from Sam Billings in the deep. Just that backup cost the Sri Lankans there. Well, I mean, nothing. It's not an understatement to say nothing has gone right for Sri Lanka today.
That is the fielding of a world-class team. Billings, quick across the outfield, picks it up off angle as well, so he had to control himself through throwing the ball, and direct hit from there. It's just another level, really. The communication there between the two, they didn't quite pick it up, and then, you know, another wicket gone. So, you know, well played to England here, because also sometimes you can take your foot off the gas if the team are maybe not pressuring you as much, but they are being ruthless at the moment. Everything, whether it's the field or with the ball or with the bat.
Yeah, Shanaka there, he wanted the second run, He was at the non-strikers end, and I don't know if it was his call or not, but Dickwella said no. He'd backed up about 4 yards, not that far, only 4 yards. It's just that turn that cost him, and the direct hit. Chris Woakes, as you say, the presence of mind to just leave the ball and let it go straight back onto the stumps. I mean, England are just not giving an inch here. That is just ruthless fielding and overall performance from England. Really kind of hammering home their point of gap.
The frustration as well there is actually that's the first time we've seen the shot. Actually, he got into line, just tried to knock it for two, which is what you actually want to see them do more. So the intent was right behind the whole process, and then the next bit let them down. The communication between the two, those sort of slick things.
I mean, they were only off by like a minimal of a percentage there in execution. It wasn't like he made this huge mistake. He was backing up for the second run. People do it all the time. It was just extraordinary from England. 61 for 5 after 11.2 overs, as it is Shanaka who's back in the hut, and the new batsman is Hasaranga, and he'll face his first delivery now, as there was a bye off that last ball. 62 for 5 after 11.3. Chris Woakes has just bowled so brilliantly. I mean, his figures figures are extraordinary, but they don't tell the full story of how good he's been.
He has been good. They've read the wicket, they've read the team, and they're just delivering right now. They're putting the ball on a penny, and also they're extracting a bit out of the surface.
Yep.
There's been a bit of seam movement when they land it, getting it to carry and also move off the pitch.
Yeah, it's a different class at the moment. And Hasaranga doesn't have the greatest numbers in the world. He's on strike. In comes Chris Woakes with a gorgeous delivery, just swinging away. It's a little bit wide, but swinging away from the batsman. And hence he lets it go. Another dot ball for Chris Woakes. 62 for 5 right now, Sri Lanka, and it feels like a foregone conclusion now at this point.
Yeah, the only thing I was just wondering with England whether there was an opportunity just to every now and then bowl that slightly fuller one that tails in at the pads, because they are backing away so much. There's so many being missed on the outside edge.
Woakes in now once again, this time slightly straight to line, but again left alone by the batsman, through to the keeper for no run.
I just mean the amount of swing and misses and out of position shots, but they've got away with it. A couple of those maybe just a little bit tighter, a little bit more probing, could bring in either the nick or the LBW option.
Yeah.
Just to change up. It's hard to pick, nitpick really with England, who look so good.
You're right, they've kind of executed perfectly here, but maybe that odd full one, the Yorker, maybe go for the stumps, who knows. Woakes in now, short outside the off stump, just cut into the ground. Billings quickly onto it from point, and that is the end of the over, and an extraordinary spell from Chris Woakes. 4 overs, 1 for 9. Outstanding he's been from ball 1 all the way through to ball 24. Sri Lanka 62 for 5, and a reminder that following the conclusion of this game, 5 Live Sports Extra listeners will have commentary on Rugby Union's English Premiership final. The Exeter Chiefs take on the Harlequins in that one, so that will follow the conclusion of this game on 5 Live. And I imagine it won't be too long, really, Evs, to be honest with you. 62 for 5, 8 overs to come. I mean, Sri Lanka now are kind of playing for numbers.
They are. England are going to want to try and see if they can clean up these 5. I think that is one way of stamping your authority on a clean sweep as well as you bowl them out. It's still, a hard task to bowl out those final 5. But it would just stamp such an authority on the gulf between number 1 and number 8 in the world.
Yeah, number 9 now, apparently.
And number 9.
Somebody blew up, yeah. I mean, Mickey Arthur yesterday, that's what he said. He said, we're number 9 and they're number 1. Those rankings are always in transition. They're hard to go by. As Curran in now, a big swing and a big miss from Niroshan Dickwella. And the ball goes through to the keeper for no run. Even sort of the experienced batsmen in the Sri Lankan team, i.e. Dickwella, I mean, they've struggled as well. And I mean, we've talked about, the flaws in the Sri Lankan batting attack, but England have executed really, really well. They've made it difficult. They've not taken their foot off that pedal, and just really made Sri Lanka work for everything and not given an inch here. It's Curran in once more. This time the ball's been flicked up in the air. There's a chance. No, the ball just drops short of the fielder. Running in from the deep. It's Billings there. Billings is working hard in the field today. The score moves on to 63 for 5. Dickwella takes a single. He's on to 11. And Curran there thought he might have a chance for a second wicket. But you're right, Ebbs. I would back them at this point to get these 5 wickets, just because of the mentality right now. I mean, England feel really dominant, and Sri Lanka feel like they've been left in the dust by this England team, and I don't see them consolidating their way to the end of 20 overs. The Sri Lankan team, they want to play their shots. They've shown that from ball 1. I think they're going to keep going, even the tail enders, but we'll see.
We'll see.
Maybe they'll just block out the next 30 and prove me wrong. Hasaranga on strike, slip in place, Curran in, and that ball shapes back into Hasaranga, who manages to play it with soft hands, just defends with soft hands, and they run through for the single. It's just a single. He's off the mark now. 1 for Hasaranga. Checks his glove.
That popped on him, didn't it?
Yeah.
There's good bounce and carry here for the seamers, and with that one that's shaping back in, it's quite hard to get away, so that was an awkward one. I do think there's an opportunity for Hasaranga. So we've seen with his bowling there's potential. He's being talked about. He's also talked about someone who can offer lower order runs. I always think as a player, when you're in this sort of situation, your team's kind of up against it, but you have that opportunity to show a nice 25 or whatever it be, and done in a nice fashion, gets you one more place up the order.
Curran in now once again, full ball. This one's been driven up in the air and taken at mid-on. The wicket falls. It's Niroshan Dickwella who just thrown it away, really. He had that opportunity that Ebony Rainford Brent talked about to spend some time in the middle and demonstrate some skills. In the end, he's just hit out to Chris Jordan, who takes a comfortable catch at mid-on. Chris Jordan doesn't put difficult one downs. Never mind one that's that easy. And, Sam Curran does have his 2nd wicket. The crowd celebrate. Well, the English amongst the crowd celebrate. There's a few Sri Lankan fans about as well. I noticed a few in the area last night and this morning. And, it's a shame their team haven't given them much to cheer about today. 64 for 6 now, Sri Lanka, after 12.4 overs. A long way shy of the target of 181.
It's an awkward watch, isn't it? It's just, it feels a bit uncomfortable. You feel for Sri Lankan fans. Mickey Arthur, the coach, who, we know he's a high-quality coach. He's having to try and rebuild this side, and this is a tough lesson.
It is. I don't know if you watch any wrestling, professional wrestling, Ebony, but in professional wrestling they have this phrase.
It's not my normal watch list, however, go on.
We'll find you something, don't worry. We'll get you a few clips. Well, there's a term in professional wrestling called squash match, and a squash match is basically where one person dominates the other from the minute the bell rings to the minute the 1, 2, 3 has been counted, and that's what this feels like. It feels like a squash match. It feels like an enhancement match almost, a chance for England to kind of go through the motions, get themselves ready for the maybe stronger opposition to come. So it's really been weak from Sri Lanka so far. There were those bits of pieces they can reflect on, but really not enough. And even by the standards of the rankings, the Gulf, and the fact that one team is much stronger than the other, they've just not done themselves any justice here.
They really haven't. You're right.
They've been squashed.
Yeah, I haven't watched much wrestling. I watched a bit of cage fighting, but I'm not sure what the equivalent, I guess, would be in cage fighting, but it's not good right now.
1 round knockout.
Yeah.
Udana is in now. There's still a slip in place as in comes Curran. That ball shaping back in towards the batsman, and it just goes to the covers for no run. Curran's got one more ball to come, and I think he'll fancy his chances against the new batsman, just to shape it back in, as you were saying, Ebson, and challenge those off stumps or that outside edge. Hasaranga and Udana now at the middle, and Hasaranga's played 4 balls, got 1 run. Udana hasn't scored yet, just faced the 1 ball. Only 2 of these Sri Lankan batsmen have made it into double figures, and neither thrived. It's been a tough day at the office for Sri Lanka. England dominant so far today, as in comes Curran with that swinging ball, again coming into the batsman, who just pushes the ball to mid-off for no run. Well, that completes the 13th over. Sri Lanka 64 for 6, and England showing their class today at the Ageas Bowl.
Sam Curran, excellent again, 2 for 14, and I think he was very clear on his strategy, stim to the other bowlers. He's banged a lot in. But what I also like to see is that shape he was getting in the air back into the right-hander, plus a bit off the pitch. So, I think on any day, whether it was Sri Lanka or another team, that's a really nice spell. He would have got everything he wanted out of that in terms of control of the ball and using his skills. So really, really good from him. I think for Sri Lanka, if I was the coach, I'm thinking if you're Mickey Arthur right now, the one thing I suppose the benefit is when you try and say to your team, right, where's one in the world and where are we? This series will make it very clear to them how far they've got to up their game. I'm not saying that's the best thing that you want to discuss, but actually you go, now we know what world class looks like.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
Jordan in now, and it's short outside the off stump, and Hasaranga just kind of pokes at it, doesn't quite get any bat on it, through to the keeper for no run.
Yeah, it's just, there's no doubt now what the difference was. I remember we had that all during our time when we played quadrangular. We got hammered by Australia, India, New Zealand at the time, and then after that we went on a run to the World Cup. And a lot of the conversation, we know what best in the world looks like. I mean, after you've gone through that pain, then you go, okay, it's like a mental note. So that's the only thing I think you can take from a hammering.
This could be the start of Sri Lanka's next DVD.
Yeah.
And Australia had the test, didn't they?
Yeah.
In comes Jordan once again, another full ball, again just teasing that outside edge. Through to the keeper for no run. Yeah.
So this would be them. Let's say that, because they've got to qualify for this World T20. Let's say they just scraped through qualify. So this is the start of it. They played team number one. They scraped through, because you always need the dip in a storyline, don't you? So that would be the low bit,
the obstacle.
And then 4 years. Oh, well, it's 2 years, isn't it? Now it comes back. Actually, that's quite quick to be back. I was just thinking, 4 year cycle's all right. 2 years is quite tight to rebuild.
Maybe instead of the DVD, we go for a mini series, a 6-episoder.
Yeah.
64 for 6. Hasaranga on strike. In comes Chris Jordan. This time Hasaranga gets some bat on it, just pushes it to backward point for no run. And quicker ball from Jordan as well. That one, 82 miles per hour.
Could be like Rocky, isn't it? Get in a few people. Maybe, like Australia did all those sort of, they went on these camps, didn't they? Where, out in the bush,
well,
like
it could be
carrying bags and stuff.
It could be exactly like Rocky in the sense that you don't have to win to win, in a way. Do you know what I mean?
What is the win?
Well, because he doesn't win in the first.
Oh no!
Sorry if that's
a
spoiler for anybody, but the film did come out like 40 years ago, guys. In comes Jordan, and that takes an edge, and it's been taken at slip. Excellent catch. Well, that comeback isn't starting right now. England are all over Sri Lanka like a cheap suit. 64 for 7 after 13.4 overs. Jordan has the wicket, and well, they might be able to do this, and it might not last much longer at this rate, Ebs.
It might not, and that's the beauty of a delivery from Chris Jordan. Just kind of angled it in from over the wicket into the batter, and kind of it was if it wasn't the outside edge, it was going to be threatening that off stump. So good from him, and like you say, well, Hasaranga, I was hoping for a little bit more from Hasaranga with the bat. There was a bit of a talk. Can he offer some useful lower order runs? I'm expecting to see just a little snippet like we have seen with his bowling, but not to be.
Yeah, Hasaranga's had a day to forget already today. Very expensive with the ball today. Not quite he was very economical in the first and second games in this series. But
I also wonder about their fitness. The reason why I say that is that I thought with the ball today, apart from Chameera, some of the bowlers who bowled well looked a little bit off.
Yeah.
And I just wonder if that back-to-back nature, the first 2 back-to-back and then 3 games, are they as sharp as they need to be when it comes to fitness? It's one of those questions that's hard to tell here, but they just looked a little bit more worn down.
They do, even their body language. I mean, myself and Jimmy Anderson were talking about this earlier, where even though Binura Fernando, who's just come into bat now, and Dushmantha Chameera, they were bowling beautifully in the early couple of overs, but the body language, the encouragement, the noise on the ground did not reflect that. They did look a bit tired. Jordan in now to Binura Fernando, and Fernando just gets his bat out of the way of that as it goes through to the keeper for no run. 2 slips in place now. England really looking to finish this off quickly. They bowled well, as you say. Dushmantha Chameera, obviously, 4 overs, 4 for 17. But Binura Fernando, his 1 for 26. Yeah, there was an over in between where he took a little bit of tap, but overall he was hitting good lengths. He was bowling a very good line and making the England batsmen just wait for their opportunity. They couldn't just come all guns blazing as they sort of planned. Even Malan, we talked about him not quite timing the ball well. The pace was being mixed up. So, there's a few bright sparks. They just couldn't build on them. It's Jordan in once again this time. Once more, the batsman just moved out of the way as it went through to the keeper. You'd argue that you'd have to be a significantly better batsman to edge that through to the keeper.
Yeah, you would argue that. Look, this is tough. I'm about to finish my stint, and I feel for Sri Lanka here. So I'll leave it to you and Jimmy to chew the fat on it.
Well, thank you very much, Ebony Rainford-Brent. 64 for 7 Sri Lanka after 14 overs. It's been a woeful effort, this, from them, but you have to give credit to the England bowlers who've been so ruthless. And this is the one word that people keep associating with England's white ball captain, Eoin Morgan. Ruthless, Jimmy Anderson, who's now alongside me. I mean, that's the only way to describe this England performance, right?
Yeah, throughout the series they've shown their class, and they've not given Sri Lanka an inch, and today just really accentuates the gulf between the two teams.
Yeah, it really does show the difference in class, as you say. Now David Willey in for his final over, 2 for 26 for him so far in his 3. Sri Lanka 64 for 3. Udana on strike, full ball from Willey, and it's driven, not quite timed, to mid-off for no run. I mean, at this point, Jimmy, it would be like a victory for Sri Lanka just to not be bowled out in 20 overs.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's, if you want to look for a positive, I guess that'd be something. But there's not much to take from this game, apart from for me, Chameera is probably the standout of the whole series for Sri Lanka.
David Willey in now once again. Short ball this time. The ball's been pulled high up in the air. Will it be taken in the deep? Yes, it will. Another wicket falls. Moeen Ali with the catch at deep square leg. Sri Lanka are just dropping off like flies. 64 for 8 now after 14.2 overs. Moeen Ali's done well to take that catch in the sunshine, and well, David Willey has a 3rd wicket now. England looking to finish this off very quickly.
Yeah, another good bit of bowling. Short ball, always a useful delivery to a tail ender, and he's just top edge that safe catch for Moeen Ali. Just sun's the other side of the ground. I think it was a pretty safe catch. He'd have been gutted if he'd have dropped that. But yeah, just looking to, again, this ruthless edge that they've got, just trying to finish this game off.
Sri Lanka is still a long way adrift of England's total of 180. Currently 64 for 8. And it doesn't really look like they're going to get too many more right now. Not the way that England are bowling or the shots that are attempting. Udana went for a duck, and now Lakshan Sandakan is going to come in. He's been brought in for this game. He was brought in to bowl his left arm wrist spin. He wasn't really brought in for his batting exploits, but, well, let's see what he can do. Maybe he can give the Sri Lankan fans something to cheer about, but most of the 6,000 plus crowd at the Ageas Bowl, they watched a clinic from England today. In comes Willey now. He bowls, and that time the ball flicks the pad. It's gone fine. It's going to run away for 4 byes. No. Terrific diving effort from Moeen Ali. I can't believe he got there. That's extraordinary. They'll probably take another look at that, but if he got there, he saved a certain boundary there, Moeen Ali. 66 for 8. Terrific effort in the deep.
Yeah, England's fielding's been outstanding this whole series, and for a while now. And yeah, I think it looks good to me.
Yeah.
Managed to pull it back before he hits the rope. But it's not just, for me, you see the energy of it. It's not just Moeen's stop, but the guy at 3rd man has come round and helps him sort of clean up the rest of the field in throwing the ball back into Jonny Bairstow. Outstanding
stuff from England. Willey in now once again. Full ball this time. The ball's been up in the air. Will it be taken? No, it just drops short of mid-on. There's a shy at the keeper's end. Doesn't connect. And they run through for a single. It's the first run for a while. It's all happening here. 67 for 8 after 14.4 overs. I really don't think it's going to last too much longer. But as you say, Jimmy, for me, it was Sam Billings' run out at the non-strikers end that kind of epitomised the day for England. They just do not give an inch to the opposition right now. Just unrelenting in their attack. Willey comes back into bowl, and that time the ball shapes nicely back in towards Sandakan. He didn't know too much about it. He smiles as the ball passes him through to the keeper for no run. 67 for 8. 1 ball to come in the 15th over. Nah, that's a pretty sad looking dugout right now for Sri Lanka.
Yeah, not much to be happy about. Lot more work to do for them.
Yeah, for sure. 67 for 8. David Willey in once more. This time has a big swing, does Sandakan. Doesn't really connect, and the ball just drops into the ground. And they just look so far out of their depth right now. If it was a boxing match, it would be time to throw in the towel for sure. But there's still 5 overs to come. Sri Lanka 67 for 8. England in a dominant position. And they'll be thrilled with this performance, won't they, Jimmy Anderson? Have a few thoughts from you, and they're going to be joined by Charles Dagnall.
Yeah, England will be delighted. They've really performed well, albeit against a Sri Lankan side that haven't really come to the party in any of the games. But you've still got to go out there and do the job, and England have been very professional. They've worked extremely hard as a team. The bowling unit have clicked well together, only using 4 bowlers today.
Well, I was going to say, Moeen Ali and Adil Rashid have been, awful today. Granted, they've not been given an opportunity to bowl due to the seamers. It's going to be Chris Jordan to bowl his final over, and the first delivery is driven gloriously. What a good-looking shot that is from Fernando. Through extra cover it is. Giving chase is Woakes, and they'll come back for a third. So Sri Lanka move to 70 for 8. But no, it's clinical. And I will be interested if they do get through Chris Jordan's over. Who's going to bowl? Will it have to be Moeen and Adil? Rashid to finish things off. 2 slips in place. One of them is Morgan. He's at first. Malan at second as Jordan approaches. 3 in the offside ring. Close in on Sandakan. Down the leg side it is. 84 miles an hour and signalled wide. So another one ticks onto the Sri Lankan total. 71 for 8. I wonder what the lowest total is in T20 cricket. Just find that out for you. But as regards, of course, it's for England fantastic to keep on winning, and in the style and the way that they have done. As Jordan bowls, and they're beaten outside the off stump, going through to the keeper. But as regards learning anything, I don't think I can honestly say that it's anything other than the gulf in the class between the two sides. I don't think they've necessarily learnt a great deal about a side that they already know a great deal about.
Yeah, but apart the likes of Livingstone coming in, I think, is a positive. The way he played in the second game.
Good call. Jordan again. Makes on weights and defends this out into the offside. No, that's a good point.
Also, you got guys like David Willey, who's not played the T20 for a while. He's come back in. Sam Billings getting a chance. So it's good to just get game time for these guys, albeit against an opposition that's not really caused too many problems, but still it's giving them a chance to perform.
The ones against Pakistan will be more of a test.
You'd think so, yeah.
Jordan again, top of his mark from the pavilion end. Bowls, and this is just played back up the pitch by Sandakan, and there is no run. Here we go. Lowest scores for Sri Lanka, 82 versus India, Vishakhapatnam in 2016, and a couple of 87s versus India at Bridgetown, and then India again, Australia at Bridgetown, India at Cuttack. So 82 is the number for them to try and overcome. They're 71 for 8 in this, the 16th over. Jordan, rhythmical run-up, bowls, and Sandakan squared up as it goes out to Livingstone at backward point. Only 3 fielders outside the circle. Deep square, fine leg, and third man. All relatively calm out there. The crowd enjoying the sunshine here on the south coast. 3 one-day internationals to come. But Durham, down at the Oval, and Bristol as well. Jordan, past umpire Wharf, wide of the crease this time, and this is back of a length and turned into the onside for no run. So the end of Chris Jordan's spell, 1 for 13 off 4. There's not a bad bowling analysis in the England side, as you would expect, with Sri Lanka 71 for 8 after 16 overs. And now will come the decision for Eoin Morgan, and he does turn to his leg spinner Adil Rashid to try and wrap things up as swiftly as they possibly can against the Sri Lankan tail. All of those games, all of those one-day internationals, in fact all of the England internationals on 5 Live Sports Extra, we've got you covered. As Rashid's name gets mentioned around the Tannoy system here at the Aegeus Bowl, just bathed in beautiful sunshine, just some light fluffy cloud over in the distance to our right hand side. Lovely afternoon. Let's hope this remains for a lot of the rest of the summer. Rashid has 4 fielders in the deep, a long off, deep cover, deep backward square, deep mid wicket. Here he comes. First delivery is a googly, which completely foxes Fernando. Backed away to the leg side, and the ball followed him and just manages to nudge it out into the onside. There is no run. Slip in place. Rashid, 95 on his back, spins the ball from hand to hand and then twirls the arms once more. Quick delivery from Rashid. That was almost like a seamer. He was setting up. Unusual type of action, but the ball was back of a length and clattered into the pads of 73 miles an hour from Adel Rashid, the bewhiskered Rashid, who then tosses it up. Down the track comes Fernando, lofts it over extra cover. There's a chase on out in the deep for Sam Curran. Sri Lanka pick up 2, so edging ever closer to that 82-run mark. Was it a seamer, Jim?
Yeah, just trying a few things, I think, while he's got the chance. Game's in the bag, so...
Shorter delivery is pulled away by Fernando. Pulled away well and will go for 4. That one at 51 miles an hour, just a slightly wrong line, and it might have been a googly, maybe a toppy. Whatever it is, it's 4 runs for Sri Lanka, 77 for 8.
Yeah, not a great ball, that. Dragged down, put away nicely, to be fair, by Fernando.
He moves into double figures. 10 not out. Rashid, orthodox leg spinner, which is played neatly by Fernando, just rocking onto the back foot, tall man. Guides it through the backward point region and will pick up a couple of runs. So I think they're 82 now. Well, I don't want to speak too soon, but they're 79 for 8.
He looks like the most accomplished batsman so far.
He does, doesn't he? Look pretty organised. He waits for Rashid, who bowls, and this is thumped down the ground by Fernando. Might think about the second run. No, they're going to not take on the Jordan arm. So a single picked up, 80 for 8. And the end of the Rashid over. So probably one of the more expensive ones conceded by England today. 9 runs coming from it.
I think that's why he's not bowled so far.
Yeah.
Not his conditions today.
Well, they've had the luxury of the seamers bowling so well here at the Ageas Bowl. And I was wondering if it'd be Moeen or Liam Livingstone. This is the latter, who's going to bowl the 18th over from the pavilion end. He's looked good with the ball as well. He's just real licorice all sorts. Not sure what you're going to get. Leggies or offies or seamers or...
Well, I don't think he bowls seamers.
He bowls a little arm ball type of... I think so. Maybe that's just the one that doesn't spin.
I think he's very good at both, I think. He's a much better bowler than people give him credit for.
I agree. Here's Livingstone. His first delivery just sort of carries on with the arm and is played out through the offside by Fernando. He moves to 14 not out. Sri Lanka 81 for 8. Slip in place. And that is Malan. And he trots, a little shuffly type of run, whipped away by Sandakan, who's finally off the mark. His 8th delivery faced. Sri Lanka 82 for 8. So yes, 3 one-day internationals and then a series against Pakistan to come. And then the test series against India later on in the summer as Livingstone bowls, and has been clubbed down the ground. What a good-looking shot that is by Fernando, all the way for 6. He was just waiting for the spinners to come on to show us his array of shots. Couple of strides and straight batted straight over the head of Liam Livingstone. A nice 6 runs.
Get him up the order. It's a great shot. He's landed it pretty well as Livingstone. It's pretty much where he'd want the ball to land. There's not much turn. We've seen that throughout the day, but still got to put it away. It's a great shot. Easy
flow of the bat. This one was an uglier shot, and that has caused his downfall. Just a wild hack across the line, and his first real false shot, Fernando. And Liam Livingstone has clattered into the stumps, and the Zing Bales flash. And the 9th Sri Lankan wicket falls, but an enterprising 20 from Fernando, and Sri Lanka 88 for 9.
Yeah, a little bit nice cameo there from Fernando. Kept it interesting for a bit, but Livingstone sticking to his length, bringing the stumps into play, which is what you should be doing with the tail enders.
So Binura, Fernando, the end of him, and now Dushmantha Chameera after an excellent day. It's a shame really Sri Lanka have performed the way that they have with the bat, because he performed so well with the ball. 4 for 17 off his 4 overs. In considering those figures, in a total of 180 that England scored, it shows you how well he did bowl. And that's one piece of the Sri Lankan puzzle that doesn't need to be changed. They found a guy who can bowl at the death and bowl up front with the new ball as well. They've got Hasaranga for those middle overs, and it's just then finding pieces to fit round those.
Yeah, I think their batting's probably their biggest worry. No one's really grabbed the bull by the horns at any stage in this series.
Livingstone bowls, and this goes past the outside edge of Chameera. And it does take some time to find those power hitters, to find the roles that are required for T20. Livingstone, final ball of his over, and gets a perfect defensive shot from the bat of Dushmantha Chameera. So, end of the over, a successful one for Livingstone and for England. A wry smile on the face of Lancashire's captain. And Sri Lanka 88 for 9. Just a reminder, there's other cricket going on at this moment in time, both in the Vitality Blast and also the Charlotte Edwards Cup. And in the Blast, the Birmingham Bears were bowled out for 130 in pursuit of 165 to win against Durham. Durham have won by 34 runs. Lancashire Lightning required 21 to win from 1.4 overs at Trent Bridge. 153 for 6. Good game. Nottinghamshire 173 for 6. Alex Hales with 100 there. Lancashire, Luke Wood is 28 not out. Stephen Croft is 41 from 29. Moeen Ali into the attack. His first delivery is turned away by Sandakan for a single out to deep backward square. Good game for the Lightning there. Yorkshire versus Northamptonshire, 6:30 start. In the Charlotte Edwards Cup, the Sunrisers have beaten the Western Storm by 7 wickets. And the Thunder have beaten the Northern Diamonds by 12 runs. So up to date. Go on 5 Live Sports Extra. Moeen bowls, a sort of lazy type of delivery, and it's been punched down the ground by Chameera just for a single. 90 for 9. So just the 1 over for Adil Rashid. Moeen still a slip there, as his next delivery is outside of the off stump. It's defended by Sandakan to mid-wicket. Long off, long on in place, deep mid-wicket, deep cover. Moeen, shaved head now with that big bushy beard of his, gets turned by Sandakan out to deep square. David Willey trotting round from deep backward to do the fielding. Loses his hat in the process. Now picks it up and wanders back to his mark. Moeen, 18 on his back. Bowls a flatter delivery and a big appeal for LBW given, and there is the end of the game. Umpire Saggers raises the finger. Chameera stuck on the crease. The decision has been reviewed, but it's one that just seemed to spin and fizz on
to director
rather than turn.
A player review for LBW. On-field decision is out.
So
it's a fair delivery. Can I have front-on spin vision, please?
Just going to take a look to see if there's any bat involved first. Little bit of turn. He's right on the crease. He's a tall man. Hits him above the knee roll.
That for me once.
So if anything, it's height.
We'll have a look at Ultra Edge next, please.
Doesn't look
Flat
to
line.
be any bat.
All the way through to the pad, please.
No wiggly lines there.
No bat involved. We'll go to ball tracking when available.
So is this the final moment for Sri Lanka in this game? Just waiting for Hawkeye. It is quite high. He is a tall man, Chameera, and it hits him probably a couple of inches above the knee roll. So there's definitely no bat involved. England all in a huddle. Just to the left-hand side of the pitch. Diminutive Sandakan with the very lean Chameera Just one pitch over to the right-hand side as we wait for ball tracking to build. Some little technology truck behind the hotel where we are now. Still just waiting at this moment in time, but this is a fairly dismal performance from the Sri Lankan batting lineup. Really potent seam bowling attack in T20 cricket for England. Now here we go. Original decision is out.
Pitching.
Impacts in line.
In line. Wickets, umpire's call. Can we go back on field to Martin, please?
So umpire's call, flicking the top of
Martin, stay with the original decision.
the middle stump. The finger is raised and the match is done. So Chameera LBW for 1, Sri Lanka all out for 91, and an 89-run victory for England in this third and final T20, Vitality T20 in the series. They win the series by 3-0. James Anderson, comprehensive, clinical England.
Yes, absolutely. We've used those words quite a lot throughout these 3 games. Ruthless, clinical, and exactly the same again today from England. They're absolutely brilliant in all departments. Sri Lanka a little bit lacklustre, got lots of improving to do, but the positive they can take is that this England side will beat a lot of teams in the coming months, so they shouldn't feel too down. They're playing against a quality unit. They've just got to try and keep, there are positives, as we said. Chameera is brilliant. Hasaranga has done well in these 3 games, so try and build on what they have for the future.
James, thank you so much for your contributions over the course of this T20 international series. Only 3 Sri Lankan batsmen made double figures: Fernando, Dickwella and the other Fernando, making 19, 11 and 20. As for England, 3 for 27 from David Willey, 1 for 9 from Woakes, 1 for 13 from Jordan, 2 for 14 from Curran, all of those bowling their full allocation of 4 overs. Livingstone and Moeen Ali with a wicket apiece. Well, you can watch video clips of this game now on the BBC Sport website and app, or at 7 p.m. there's a full highlights show on BBC Two from 7. The next cricket on 5 Live Sports Extra is the start of the England versus India Women's One-Day International Series tomorrow from 10:45, and then the England v Sri Lanka One-Day Internationals begin